And now, introducing a man whose sole mission in life is to find the perfect chip, corn or potato. When reached for comment, he said, "It has to be the perfect combination of savory and spicy. I want to feel every saliva gland in my mouth overflow. I thought that the new Doritos Tangy Pickle had a shot, and I expected to be overwhelmed, but I was simply whelmed. Just not enough pickle dust." He may have inadvertently stumbled onto his new wrestling pseudonym, Pickle Dust. He is Glenn Clark.
This is a lengthy intro today. You kept kind of going. I was wondering what was next. Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Paul. Papa Cass is back with us this morning. Our friend Cassidy. We'll have Cassidy's Top 5 a little bit later on. Much to do on the program today. Coming up in a bit, we will chat with Doc Holliday, former Rams running back, and now the host of the Rams podcast on the Believe Network. We'll preview the other side of Super Bowl 56. We covered the Bengals yesterday. We'll cover the Rams today. Also later on this morning, our weekly chat with Patrick Stevens, college hoops, college lacrosse, and then later on in the show, I'm very excited. Our friend Spiro Morekas, the play-by-play voice of the Towson Tigers, will be back in studio with us. As Spiro and I like to have adult music conversations. In the past, we've had a lengthy conversation about whether or not the song Kokomo by the Beach Boys actually sucks. We did an entire debate the last time he was here about who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And last week, the list of nominees for induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year was announced, and Spiro and I are going to debate that list. And with that in mind, I shared it already on Twitter, at Glenn Clark Radio. I want to know, and I want you to separate, because this is what I'm intending to do, and I haven't really told Spiro fully this, so I hope he's prepared for it. I want to separate the group of nominees into three categories. I want to know who you have strong feelings about, mild feelings about, and no feelings or negative feelings about from that list. And we will share that, and we will have a conversation about that this morning. But tweet me at Glenn Clark Radio and tell me how your list breaks down. So that's what's coming up on the program today. Actually, I should probably play the game where I ask Cassidy if she's even heard of some of these people. Have you heard of? Well, I mean, you've heard of Eminem, obviously. You're familiar with his work.
Yeah.
You've heard of, I'd like to hope you've heard of Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Okay, so we're 2 for 2, doing well. I'm going to guess you probably haven't heard of the New York Dolls, for example.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's okay. Have you heard of A Tribe Called Quest?
No.
I'm very sad. That makes me very, very sad. Have you heard of Beck? Okay, we're doing well. How about
Where
Lionel?
it's at? I got 2 turntables and a microphone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, there we go.
Songs.
Lionel Richie?
Yes.
Okay, all right. The Eurythmics.
No.
Okay. I've accomplished what I need to accomplish.
Okay, then yes.
That's
I've
Eurythmics.
accomplished what
Thank you.
I've
That's all I
accomplished
needed.
what I needed to accomplish here. We're not gonna have Cassidy be the center of our conversation about
It's
the
Billy
Rock and
Bob.
Roll
It's
Hall
got to
of
be.
Fame.
It's got to be true or false. The man's holding up some fingers. True or false? True.
Yeah, right. So anyway, we'll do that a little bit later on in the show as well. You know what? I don't have a lot to say sports-wise this morning. I was, of course, watching the Suns game last night. That was what I was invested in. I don't think anybody else around here really cares all that much. I did also watch the USA-Canada women's hockey game. I was so excited about it, right? Like, I was like, hell yeah, this is going to be great. And it kind of ended up being a bit of a butt-kicking as Canada won 4-2. It was a moment where the U.S. went up 2-1 in the second period, and I'm all like, hell yeah! I was like waving the flag around by myself, and at midnight I was doing the whole thing. Yeah, it didn't work out so well. Canada scored 3 more goals in the second period. Like, the USA went up in the span of 5 minutes. Canada scored 3 times. So I was like, wow, great. Including they were shorthanded. The U.S. was on a power play, and Canada got a goal while they were shorthanded. Not ideal. Not ideal. What's it like? Have you ever been man up in soccer and given up a goal?
No, I don't think so, no.
No? Yeah, that would be pretty brutal, right? It would be a pretty brutal.
I think that'd be the end of my career.
The end of your career? Well, it's definitely happened. Like, I would like.
Not for me.
Okay, it's happened in the sport. I would like to
Probably
hope that you
every
wouldn't just
sport.
quit just because you gave up a goal,
I'm
old
just
man.
saying, be mortified.
It would not be good, obviously.
Need some time away.
You would need to decompress. Think about your life, reconsider all of the decisions that you've made. Boy, wow, that is overwhelming. That is really overwhelming. I wouldn't need to do that. And hockey, obviously, it's far different because it's not 10 on 11. It's 4 on 5, and it gives you more open ice. And the USA, of course, was being aggressive and trying to get a goal and ended up turning the puck over and led to a breakaway. They committed a penalty, and Canada scored on the penalty shot. And that was that. It was a real bummer for those of us that were watching and thinking to ourselves, boy, this should be a pleasant, not fun. But it didn't really mean all that much because they were both going on to the medal round anyway, so there will presumably be another USA-Canada showdown in these Olympics, and that will be what will determine most likely who wins the gold medal.
Going back to the Suns real quick, they won something like 17, 18, 19 games
early in the season.
Early
yes.
in the season.
That
And
did
didn't they win like 11 or 12 in a row recently also?
They had a road win streak going. I don't know. I don't think it was an overall
so they're
win streak.
They're 9-1 in their last 10.
Yes, they're quite good.
I think they had 11 or 12 wins in a row that wasn't just a road streak.
They might. I remember there being a road streak. I don't remember there being another overall win streak, but they might have. I mean, it might have, and it just didn't get as much attention because it wasn't as long as the early one.
They're an impressive team.
Yes, they're very good. Oh, is that your take? Is that your?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
I was trying to find when they were in the middle of that second long
Any
win
other
streak.
hot takes for us this morning?
Jordan
Paul?
Spieth can't close.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I got attacked again
Everybody
last
all
night.
worked up about that.
Well, no, I tried to find a
tidbit
tidbit on that to see who had who had multiple 10-game winning streaks in the NBA in a season, but I couldn't find it. And
I assure you don't need to do Suns themed. It's only me. It's an audience of one
I
in
found
those
it
circumstances.
interesting, though.
Actually, there's somebody else I know who's a Suns fan. Is it Matt Pine? Is Matt Pine a Suns fan? I feel like there's somebody else. My buddy Chris DeShiel.
He's quite a cinephile.
Matt is. He masquerades as a Suns fan every now and then. And, I mean, I've got other Suns fans in my life, but just not people that I think would be listening to this program, so we don't need to cater towards the things that I like, or else we would largely do a show about pickles. That would be what the show would look like if it was just about. And, by the way, now that I think about it, I'm not opposed to reconsidering whether or not maybe moving forward this show could just be about pickles. You know what I would like today? If I could just talk about things that I wanted to talk about, have you watched the Tinder Swindler on Netflix?
No.
Whoo, buddy. I would encourage you to spend some time with that thing. Wow.
Is it a movie or a TV show?
It's a movie that's more like a documentary. It is a story of a gentleman from Israel who conned young women on Tinder into believing that he was the son of a diamond tycoon and got lots of money away from them. Lots.
So this is like the new version of the I'm an Israeli prince, send me money.
But that was I feel like it was more of an African prince thing.
Oh.
I feel like they didn't really go, this was, he legitimately found like the name of this diamond mogul. Lviv was the name of the diamond company, and he portrayed himself as Simon Lviv, the son of the king of Lviv Diamonds, and managed to dupe multiple women into believing this was true, and then he turned out to be a fraud. I actually had a thought as I was watching it to talk about like things that proved to be like sports frauds. For example, I was effing obsessed with Mike Jones when he showed up to play basketball at the University of Maryland. I thought he was going to be better than Juan Dixon because he had this unbelievable shot. The problem was he did not care for defense. He never thought that you needed to play defense. And so Gary Williams said, you're not going to play that much. Now, this guy was a McDonald's All-American. This guy was one of the most ballyhooed recruits that Maryland had landed in years, and he barely saw the floor. And I was so duped that, like, I went out, of course, this was also in the era of the rapper Mike Jones. I went out and, like, bought Mike Jones T-shirts, and I was all in. Like, I was yelling out, who, all the time. And I was so excited about Mike Jones. And it didn't work out. So I thought about going that route. But then I actually thought about, like, stories of being actually swindled. Like, I have had it happen to me. Not certainly like these young ladies did. And this is always the conversation when you watch something like this where you're like, I know you're the victim and I feel very bad for you. I know you are. I know these women were victims of this terrible person. But at the same time, at some point in watching it all unfold, like, you never said to yourself, maybe I don't take out a loan to send him $25,000 to protect himself against his enemies. Maybe that's not something I do.
Why would he need your
These are-
money? Isn't he a diamond tycoon?
He had enemies, and his enemies had gotten after him and frozen his accounts, and so he had to borrow money from you, and he was going to pay you back, and even sometimes he would make it look as if he had paid you back until you found out that, those payments are fraudulent. You should go watch. It is wild. It is a wild watch. These are very attractive young ladies that were duped by this gentleman. Like these
Is he
were
attractive?
I didn't
He
I
made-
didn't see it, but at the same time there's a lot I don't really see it in Pete Davidson, and of course he's like thought of as the sexiest man alive.
And
So
this guy was what? Supposed to be this big shot, so I guess it did help.
yeah, that was part of it. Like he was living the lifestyle, and so you're like, oh, okay.
If he
Like he's
made
hanging
up
out
that,
in
that he's
Mykonos.
the son of a diamond tycoon, he probably had a picture that was a nice looking man.
No, they met him.
Oh, they-
like,
oh,
like
oh,
he
they
would
did.
fly to meet them, spend time with them. Like this was elaborate.
Oh.
This was an elaborate
Wow.
So
ruse.
this isn't like Instagram.
This is
where,
what the
like,
gentleman looks
hit the
like. He's
DMs.
fine. He's
Oh.
he's oh, you see
No,
him.
he's like attractive.
I don't
He's
I don't
cute.
feel like he's more than I feel like he's largely an average looking
Wait,
man.
but put together that he's like.
Yes, he dresses
he
well and he
dresses
lives
well.
the
He's nice
lifestyle.
looking. I can see how women
Yeah.
would find
I
him
think
attractive.
he's
He looks
fine.
clean. He's like
He
clean.
Yeah, he's
looks
cut.
clean,
He's
clean
like a
for
pretty
sure.
boy.
But
you
then look
know?
at- but look
That's the
that,
standard
like
these
that,
days. He's
really?
clean.
You find that you're like that's
I think that's attractive.
He looks like
yeah.
he looks like he bathes. I'm into him.
yeah, right.
No, I
he
think
appears to put on
I find
deodorant
that
in the morning.
attractive, I do.
All right, good for you. Well, I
mean, shoot,
he
I
might
get
he
like,
might get in touch with you on Tinder at some point.
Hey, I get like 5.
Don't give him
DMs a
$25,000
day That's like, hey, do
creeps.
you want to be my sugar baby? And then it's like, just I'll PayPal you.
We,
and I'm like,
women have a
wow.
very different life than we do. I do not get the sugar baby
Half of them are
DMs on
women and
Instagram.
not men. Though.
Oh,
I get more women in my DMs like telling me that they'll give me money.
because you're an athlete, you think?
I have no idea.
That's very interesting.
have no
It's
clue.
very interesting. I would spend some time with the Tinder swindler. It's worth the watch.
I had a woman offer to be a sugar mama for me about
Oh,
10
yeah?
years ago.
Yeah?
But she was not my cup of tea.
No,
And
Oh, that's a
so
real shame.
I couldn't
Celebrity
do it.
she most
I couldn't
resembled.
sell my soul.
Give me the celebrity she most resembled.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You actually might know her.
Oh.
Her name is Heather.
Ooh, I don't.
She
We're not
is-
gonna. I don't want to put too much
We're-
more
yeah,
out
we're-
there.
we're-
Yeah.
She is a mother
Okay.
of a former Orioles child.
The mother of a former Orioles child.
Yes.
That doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, that's all I'm willing to say
Alright.
to say about her.
All right. Well, we'll think about that one. We'll marinate on that for a little while, and we'll revisit it. We will marinate on that
Very
particular
nice person.
subject.
She and I are friends. Just was not romantically interested in her.
But she wanted you to like move in and like sort of be her project type of situation.
She gave me all of these promises.
This is a very weird. I got a weird vibe from this. But kind of on you too, a
I mean,
little bit.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's a popular thing, and I think society.
Is it a popular
Yes,
thing?
There's multiple apps that you can go that literally are like for like women to join, and men will just talk to them, and it's like I will pay you money through this app to like for you to just talk to me. Like it's like they all have preferences. Like for instance, like some guy could be like, I just want you to treat me like I'm your husband, and you're like, hey honey, how's your day going? Or how was work or something like that, because they don't have someone and they're like what 50 and they like want to feel something, so then you get paid to just talk to old men. It's actual.
You
app.
sound like someone who's considered it.
I
I gotta
have.
be honest
No,
with you.
I'm not gonna lie. I've
You're
definitely
talking
been,
like
are you-
someone
Yeah, I
who
looked
is
into it
maybe like even flirted with the idea of doing it.
very much so, like right on the tip of the edge, like
Oh
just
my.
right about to jump into
Oh
it.
my! That
Like
Come
those people
on.
that
Doesn't
send
seem
their
great.
pictures of their feet to people for like $100.
Again, now
a
that
picture.
one,
Okay.
now that actually, I disagree. That sounds like if somebody wanted to offer me money for pictures of my feet,
I'm
like
taking pictures of my
by
feet.
100%, it's pictures of my feet, man. You
I
do
have,
whatever you
like,
want to do
I
with
have
them.
no
So
problem
weird.
with Google having my feet. I don't
Okay.
care. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if the internet has Cassidy Butler's feet. Like it doesn't bother me.
We've derailed.
Yeah, we really have. Well, it's okay. It's Super Bowl week. There's nothing more to say about the game. We've been there already. I definitely dated a girl who was like, when in the infancy of selling your underwear online, she was like, "Why wouldn't I do that?" And I'm like, "I don't really have an answer. I don't I genuinely don't have an answer as to why you wouldn't do that, right?
Get rid of old underwear.
Yeah.
Get money to buy new underwear.
It doesn't seem
sounds amazing.
It doesn't seem like a terrible idea. As long as they're not getting like too much personal information out of it, as long as they're not like as long as they have no access to you in any sort of way, I really don't understand. Now, I don't understand why anybody's spending money this way. Like, that's a bigger problem, and you should probably seek help. But like, if it exists and you can profit off of it, when this girl presented to me, I'm like, I am by no means trying to talk you out of it, right? Like, plus, does it mean that like you're gonna spend some of that money on me? Like, that sounds great.
One of my best friends was in the Air Force, and he lived in Japan for a couple of years, and he told me they had vending machines over there that sold women's used panties.
I don't get it at all. I'll never
It's
understand
a fetish.
it. I'll never
And
understand
there's
it.
a large community. Like, you wouldn't think so. You think it's like rare, but
Big
like
enough for
I just
vending
remember.
machines.
I just remember that your mother listens to this show every day,
She
Cassie.
hears
All right,
this
all right,
all
fair
the
enough.
time.
Fair
My mom
enough.
listens too.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but you've never actually sold your panties on the internet.
You don't know
Neither
that.
have I.
All right.
Neither have
I had a wild 20s, man.
Yeah. Right. All right. So there you go. That's what we're doing on the program today. So Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
I got to change the description.
Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Of course, that's where you should be for the big game this Sunday. The live betting, man, it changes everything when you can participate in live betting. It's a world of difference during the game because everything changes. You watch all the lines change, then something that you felt really strongly about, suddenly you've got better odds on. You're like, I got to race back up there. I got to get to one of those 51 self-service kiosks or the betting windows in order to put my money in. It is such a different experience. Message them right now, events at sportssocialmd.com. Find out if they still have maybe a spot or two left for you for the big game. Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. And, of course, if they don't, have, tables still available, you can still go. You can still be there and hang out in one of the bar areas to watch the big game in the FanDuel Sportsbook on Sunday. A couple of things quickly. One, I have people ask every year, you guys, have you ever thought about going back to do the Super Bowl? Yes, of course, it's a conversation we've had a few times. Let me say two things. One, the biggest reason why it's not really practical for me any longer is because of my play-by-play schedule, and it would actually cost me money to go. So I've kind of said, if the Ravens aren't in the Super Bowl, I'm just not going to do it. Not that I wouldn't, or not that there wouldn't be a dollar figure that could get me to do it, but it's just the reality of my life. It would end up being a money loser for me in order to do it, and so it's just not worth it in the same way. If I did it, I want to try to do it the way that we used to do it, where we'd sort of broadcast it all day and we would sit in on each other's shows. I'd want to be able to do it for real, and that's real work. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, like you're just hanging out and talking on the air and talking to famous people. I know, but it's still real work, believe it or not. It's still real work when you're there chasing things down. So I would just need it to make sense in order to do it again. It's also to me changed in a little bit of a way. I'm totally fine. Drew and I used to go. We'll talk more. I think Drew even said he might come in tomorrow. Let's double check on that. Drew and I will probably talk about some of our memories tomorrow. But you get a lot of duds. There'd be an awful lot of duds during the course of the week, and things that you just sort of had to suffer through. And there'd be a handful of conversations that you really enjoyed, and in order to get those, you had to go through all the duds. So I know you guys enjoyed it, and I'm not saying I'd never do it again. It's just not something that's a priority for me right now because of other things going on in my life. Also, having young kids, a lot of those that change. When they get 5 years older, I might say, get me the hell out of here. Get me out immediately. Of course, this, as it turns out, this might have been a good week for them to go with both of them being sick. So might have been a time for me to have said, maybe I get out of here. I'm still fine, by the way. I keep testing negative. Both my kids got COVID. I keep testing negative. All good. So I don't know how it works. And my wife is we're not even testing my wife anymore. We're just sort of assuming that she's got it. We're just sort of she's the one that's hanging out with them. So we're just sort of working under the assumption that she's got it and going that way. From Dave. Dave said, Glenn, wondering what you thought about the Lovie Smith hire in Houston and how it might impact the Brian Flores lawsuit. I don't think it'll have any impact whatsoever. Is my answer, Dave. I don't think it will have even a small impact on the Brian Flores lawsuit. Somebody would point out the irony of the timing that in this cycle, literally not a single minority coach had been hired until after Brian Flores filed a lawsuit, and then all of a sudden on Sunday, two of them were. it's certainly weird that it's Lovie Smith. I mean, like it's bizarre. Had some success with the Bears, had no success at Illinois whatsoever. It's weird. There's no getting around that. It's a weird hire, but it's the Houston Texans. I mean, everything they do is weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's weird that you would fire David Culley to hire Lovie Smith. Like that makes I have no idea. I mean, it's insane. Everything about the Houston Texans is bat-ass insane. But the impact that it has on the lawsuit, like, do you think that the Texans hiring Lovie Smith proves that there's been no racial bias when it comes to head coaching hires? Come on. I mean, we're not that stupid, are we? I mean, we're not that naive. I refuse to believe that. It just won't. It will not impact that in any way. So that's all I can say. So many people read Brian Flores' statement about it and felt like he was taking a shot at Lovie Smith. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he was trying to explain why it was. That didn't change anything that he had said in the lawsuit. Like that nothing about one coaching hire changes all of the merit of all the other things that were said during the course of the suit. So I just don't think it has any impact whatsoever. Let's dive back into the Super Bowl. Yesterday we previewed the Bengals. Now let's take a look at the Rams. Joining us, tell us a bit more about the Rams, is a former Ram. Now he's the host of the Believe Network podcast, Believe in Rams. He is Doc Holliday, and he's with us here on GCR. Doc, it's Glenn and Paul in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Of course, man. Thank you all for having me.
You know, Doc, we saw the Rams here in Baltimore a few weeks back, and they weren't all that overwhelming, right? They tried their damnedest to lose to Tyler Huntley that day in Baltimore, and damn near did. At the time, I think a lot of us, especially when you back that up with what we saw in Week 18 and them losing to the 49ers, which we thought was kind of a statement game for them. What clicked? What has changed over the course of the playoffs for the Rams to be in this position now as Super Bowl favorites?
You know what? I don't know if anything really clicked. The fact of the matter is the Rams are a very schizophrenic team. They play well. They play good. They play tough. They play like to the level of the talent they have. But then they'll go through moments where you're like, who the hell are y'all, man? What are y'all doing? Why y'all not physical? Why y'all making these mistakes? So the fact that what we've seen from the Rams the last 3 weeks in the playoffs is that team that started the season. We're clicking. We're confident. But they do have more weapons now than what they had at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
Even though we lost Robert Woods, Odell Beckham Jr. has come on, and Von Miller has come on and finally got his feet up under him and his health. And that's the thing about it. I think Matthew Stafford winning that first playoff game and then the Rams having to tough out a win against a team that physically just punks them, the 49ers, I think that gave them a whole bunch of confidence. And right now, I think they understand and know that they can win offensively if they have to. But if the offense isn't doing well, they can win defensively if they have to. But if that doesn't work, they can count on Matt Gay knocking down big kicks. So I think that's where they are. It's really like a mental roadblock they've overcome.
You point out they have a few more weapons. Obviously, what sort of stands out there is Odell Beckham. And admittedly, Doc, when Odell Beckham was available and there were some Ravens fans who were like, oh, you should go pick him up, I was sort of like, I'm indifferent at the moment. Like the guy that we've seen of late just hasn't been that much of a difference maker, frankly. Clearly Cooper Kupp is still the guy in L.A., but how much of a difference has Odell's presence made for this Rams team as they've made this run?
Oh, it's been huge, man, because, for the last couple of years, Odell Beckham has been playing like a number 2 or number 3 receiver. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's been kind of pouting and moody and, on his diva tip. But coming to L.A., knowing that, look, I got to perform because I'm going to a team that's expected to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to a team that has vets that's already established on the squad, so I'm not the big man. I'm not the big voice. I'm not the big talent. I'm not the big ego on the team. So doing that and the fact that he's trying to prove himself and get paid again, bringing that mentality because his physical attributes, they've always been there. It's just been how he's been approaching the game mentally and, being this like diva kind of guy. But coming on this team and all of that coming together, and he's still fast, he's still quick, he's still got those big ass hands. He snatches anything that's in his area, and he's able to work one-on-one because Cooper Kupp is sometimes getting doubled. And Cooper Kupp likes to go across the always spying him. So that's giving Odell Beckham Jr. enough time to work and get open, and he's still a great route runner, and we know he has great hands, man. So his physical attributes lining up to him getting himself right in the head, it's been huge for him, and it's been huge for the Rams.
Former Rams running back Doc Holliday, and now the host of the Believe in Rams podcast. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio, previewing the Super Bowl. Doc, it seems like there's a consensus that the biggest storyline for the game itself on Sunday is going to come down to what the Rams front does against a Bengals offensive line that we've seen get their asses kicked at times during the course of these playoffs. Is that to you the biggest story in whether or not the Rams win this football game, is can they take advantage of this Bengals offensive line?
Yeah, you just said it. Not only get their asses kicked, get their asses ripped off, post service back to them.
Right.
Turn service and all of that.
No question.
Work. So the Bengals, for the Titans to get out of 9 times, and the Titans got a couple of great defensive linemen, but they're not Aaron Donald. And, just what AD can do when you're doubling him and you got Von Miller on one side, Leonard Floyd, he'll bust you in your head, too, if you give him an opportunity. And even Greg Gaines pushing that offensive line up the middle. So that's definitely a disadvantage for the Bengals because the Rams' defensive line, they continue to cut because Aaron Donald is just a motor that does not stop. He's like that first Terminator, man. He ain't going to stop until he kills you. And he's going to keep coming at you until he get his hand on you, or do something. So, of course, that's something Cincinnati has to be worried about. That lets me know that Joe Mixon may not be as active in the passing game as they would like him to be because his ass will have to stand like that, man, and clean up some stuff because AD and some of those defensive linemen, they're going to break free in a couple of points during the game.
All right, so apropos of nothing, not that I'm thinking about putting – is there any reason at all why I wouldn't be betting on Cooper Kupp to be an anytime touchdown scorer in the Super Bowl? Like, if the odds were minus $1 billion, shouldn't I still be betting on Cooper Kupp to be an anytime touchdown scorer at some point during the course of this game?
Hell yeah, man. If he suits up and he's healthy and he isn't sick, if you see number 10 out there warming up and when the ball is kicked off, oh yeah, he's an anytime touchdown scorer because – as they say, bro, it's the way he runs routes, man, he's wiggly. He's just a wiggly dude. His body, like, is going 15 different ways, and when he cuts, you can't stay with him. So, yeah, bro, he is an anytime touchdown scorer because he's the guy that gets it done.
Yeah, right? I mean, I can't even imagine what the odds would have to be for me to avoid that one. And then give me an idea, for you. Obviously, the big storyline being that defensive front. But what else? What else to you is the storyline, Doc, in if the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday, they need to do blank. What is that?
Run the rock. Hand it off, man. I don't give a damn if they get 2 yards a carry. They have to run the ball at least 30 times, man. Every time the Rams run the ball at least 30 times, I think over the last couple of seasons, they're winning like 90% of those games, if not more, because they are indicative. Sean McVay loves to play action. You got to keep those linebackers in there. You got to freeze them for at least a half a second, if not a whole second, to allow Cooper Kupp to get behind them onto that second level, to allow Van Jefferson and we may not have Tyler Higbee, but
right.
Blanchard to get behind those linebackers. So in order for the Rams to win, they got to run the ball, man. I don't care if it's damn 30 carries for 55 yards. They got to run it.
We talked a lot, around here, Doc, about how the Bengals are going to be a thorn in the Ravens' side for some time to come, but is it maybe a little bit of an opposite feeling in LA? Like they have to win this one. We all know the situation with how many draft picks have been traded in the coming years. We know that there was, kind of a going all in scenario. And I'm not saying that there isn't the ability to win next year or something like that, but is there more of a feeling of pressure that like this is not something that's built to sustain long term? This is something that's supposed to win right now, and they need to take advantage of it and win this one right now.
Yeah, because that was the blueprint. That's the scheme. Win this year. We're not even worried about next year. The world might not even be here next year. So that's how the Rams and Les Snead and Sean McVay, that's how they've been operating. They're like, how you want the world to be here next year? We're going to try to do it this year. So giving up everything that they've given up, man, those first-round picks to get Jalen Ramsey, you give up Jared Goff, and 2 more first-round picks, you give up Matthew Stafford. I think they're trying to give up Eric Dixon and his retired jersey. And he was like, hold on, bro. Hell, I don't even play no more. You know what I'm saying? So they've tried to give it up all, man, to try to win right now. So, yes, it's not just about going to the Super Bowl. They got to win the Super Bowl for this to be considered a success.
Right. Right. They've been, obviously, just a couple of years ago. It's not making the Super Bowl is not something. It is a little bit different in Cincinnati, where it's been an eternity since they've been to the Super Bowl. Clearly, the Rams are just a couple of years removed. This is about trying to win one. All right, Doc Holliday, what can I plug for you, man? Obviously, the podcast. Where are people finding you on Twitter as well?
Man, I'm at _Doc Holliday. That's 2 L's. Then on Instagram, I'm at the Doc Holliday Show. That's Doc Holliday with 2 L's. And then on YouTube, I got a talk show, the Doc Holliday Show. So, man, I appreciate you all doing that, man. It's a pleasure speaking with you all.
Well, it's great to chat with you as well, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us. Enjoy the game on Sunday, man, and let's be in touch in the future, all right?
No doubt. Y'all have a good day.
That's Doc Holliday, former Rams running back, now the host of the Believe in Rams podcast. I have not decided yet how I'm betting on this game. And that actually matters because, of course, Kyle and I are tied in picks, so there's some money at stake between the two of us. I have not decided yet how I'm betting on this game. I thought, and I'm just being honest with you, at first I thought I was betting Bengals. Jeremy Kahn really made quite the impression on me yesterday. He was like, dude, I think the Rams are winning by a lot. Like, I don't think this is going to be close.
I keep saying that I think that the Bengals are playing with house money and they're going to win by like 3-6, and then I think about that pass.
I love when you
that
say Bengals, by the way. It's very Baltimore of you, the way that you
Bengals.
say
Bengals.
it. Yeah,
Is it Bengals?
It's Bengals, but you say
Bengals.
Bengals. Like, and it's a very Baltimore thing. Like, it happens. It's like there's like an 80s band called the Bangles.
Right.
It's a very Baltimore thing to say it that way. What? You're making a weird face.
I'm just hearing the same thing. Like you.
Bengals?
Yeah, you guys.
Bengals.
I'm hearing the
It's the
same thing
same
too.
thing.
Bengals.
They're very different. It's
Bengals.
literally. Hang on, I'll even spell it out for you. One of them looks like this: Bengals.
Right.
Bengals. The other one is this: Bangles.
Right, but like
Bengals.
Bengals. There's Bengals.
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 It's like my
Yeah.
cousin Anna is Anna, not Anna. Anna, not Anna.
Say that again.
My cousin Anna, her name is Anna, ANNA.
Right.
Her name is Anna, not Anna.
See, that definitely sounds the exact same to me.
Anna.
I definitely don't hear a
Anna.
difference.
I'm gonna have a stroke trying to.
Right. I definitely don't. I do
The-
not hear a
so-
difference
So
in those
there's
two things.
Ann, and there's
Uh-huh.
Ann.
Again, you're saying the same thing.
It's the Bengals. It's
You're
the
gonna
same
you're gonna have
thing.
to no. That's definitely different.
No.
You're gonna have to spell out the phonetic spelling of both in order for me to understand what you're trying to say.
So ANNA
Right.
versus EHNNA.
But that sounds like Enna.
Anna.
I've never
you're not,
heard
you're
it
not
spelled
getting
that
me.
way in my life.
It's not spelled that way. I'm just trying to spell it
it's-
phonetically.
Oh, okay. Of like how it's pronounced.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a my sister is Laura, and then my best friend's sister was Laura.
That's LORA.
Yeah, LO Laura, but it's spelled the same way, Laura. But my sister was Laura, and when I try to talk to my wife about that, when we're around one of them, like it's never gonna happen.
My sister is Andrea, and people will call
Andrea, right?
Andrea.
Now that again, there's a notable difference between Andrea and Andrea. You're still not painting the difference between Anna and Anna. You're still not doing that for me.
Anna.
Uh-huh.
Anna.
Anna. You
Anna.
got to really emphasize the
Anna.
Anna.
versus Anna.
That just
I
sounds
can
like
hear a
an
difference when you say it. I just can't put it together. Like I
Yeah.
can't
it
understand.
sounds like
it.
an accent
No.
more than anything
Yeah,
else
yeah,
is what
yeah.
it sounds
Yeah.
like. That's all it sounds like. All right. Anyway, the point is that I haven't decided how I'm betting
What a
on the
show.
Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing today, but that's about right. The point is that I haven't decided how I'm betting on the Super Bowl as of yet. I am really struggling with it because Jerry made quite the compelling argument to me.
That's
Yeah, but that was the reason I was going to bet against the Bengals. The Bengals. That was the reason why I was going to bet against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, was because I just thought their offensive line would ultimately be overwhelmed and that you couldn't get away with that against a better team. And it wasn't. So I get it. The Rams are definitely better up front than the Chiefs are. I'm not debating that whatsoever. It's still Joe Burrow over there. And it's still.
LSU, baby.
Wait, where did that come from? What are you, a big LSU fan?
No, I'm actually a diehard Clemson fan.
What?
But
So
I
then
like
what
him.
just happened?
I just like him. I love him.
I got so many questions,
I
man. got
love
so-
him. Okay, you can like a team, but you
Okay,
can
but there's a
still
difference
like
in
the
saying
people.
there's a difference in being like I love Joe Burrow versus
Right, but I
you
liked
said
him
LSU,
at
baby.
LSU. I liked him at LSU.
This is a weird bit, man. There's a lot of weird. This sounds pretty front running, by the way. Everything about that conversation sounds quite front running. I like Clemson, who wins all the national championships until somebody else wins a national championship, and then I like them.
Okay, I can.
Were
see
you a
how
Georgia
that-
fan this year? All right.
No.
All
I
right.
mean, I lived in Georgia, but I'm not a Georgia fan.
By the way, you say that like I should be like it's offensive that I would ask. The evidence that was presented, not great. Not a good look.
No.
I was
And
a
you get
90s
mad every time when I say Ohio State sucks at the end of the show.
That-
So you
that-
like Clemson, Ohio State, and
no, but
LSU.
Here's the thing. Okay.
All of the
diehard-
good teams
And
except
Alabama.
Yeah, right.
No.
So,
no,
by the way, did I mention I love Notre Dame and the Lakers and the Yankees?
I only
I was a
like
90s
Ohio
Cowboys fan.
basketball. Only Ohio basketball. That's it. I don't like Ohio. Clemson, I'm all around. Like I
They
love
look pretty good against
Clemson.
Maryland on Sunday, but so does everybody else. Everybody looks
Like
good
I
when
want
they
to
play
go
Maryland.
to the Ohio and UMD game.
It's a shame he didn't go to the one in Columbus because they won by about a billion points. They won by a giant number. It was not fun. Yeah, that's a good point. Proctor says, Paul's still working on American time zones. Don't distract him with heteronyms.
Oh, man. He was all
Not-
over me about that.
Well, in
yesterday.
fairness, it ain't a great look. It's
I
not.
know
It's
the time-
something that we should be able to.
No, I understand the
lock
time zone.
up.
I know the difference. I get that. It's
Do
just-
you though?
Sometimes when I'm in a hurry and I got all these different things going on in my brain, I flip-flop it.
Exactly right. Like when he said, "Yeah, we're recording it at 4 Pacific time, so 1 Eastern."
Yeah,
Said
sometimes
Paul, no.
sometimes I flip-flop it.
It's not gonna work, my friend. Not gonna work.
I know the difference in time zones, guys. I get it. I know
Do
mountain
you?
time.
Do
I
you?
do.
Do you?
I do.
What time is it right now in Portland, Oregon?
Right now in Portland, Oregon, it is 7:36.
All right, there we go. You got that one right. What time is it right now in Indianapolis, Indiana?
In Indianapolis, Indiana, it is 9:36 a.m.
What time is it right now in Detroit?
Detroit's still on the East Coast.
Ooh,
Not East Coast.
look
it's
at
on the Eastern time zone,
you.
isn't it? So it's
Oh, by
still
the way, actually, so
10:36.
is Indianapolis.
Oh, is it really?
I actually couldn't remember that. I knew there
You
was
set
one-
me up.
I did. Well, I set myself up because I didn't know. I didn't know either. Detroit is definitely in the Eastern time zone.
I was set up.
All right, so there's how we're.
They didn't used to be. They didn't used to be because I remember when the Orioles used to play Cleveland, those games would start at 8:30 Eastern time.
I don't know that that's true.
It is true.
You say that, but I don't know that that's true.
Those games used to start at 8 o'clock, and now they start at 7.
They might have started at 8, maybe, but I don't know that was because they were in the Central time zone. I
They
don't
were.
think
I
Cleveland
think
was ever in the Central time zone.
I think if
trust it.
I think if you look
You
it
trust
up-
what?
Yeah, I trust it.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget that I'm the one that's got to tell your advisor if you're doing a good job around here.
Just kidding. Paul, sorry.
Yeah, right. Don't ever forget
I'm
that.
on Glenn's side.
We play these roles with our kids all the time where they decide they agree with one of us when we're my wife and I when they're debating about something. I'll turn around and be like, "You want that bike, huh? Do you? Do you? Maybe I would think about who it is that you're agreeing with. One day you're gonna realize you would have rather sided with dad than mom. Just saying." All right, today's show is also brought to you by the CIAA tournament, which is coming to Baltimore this month. Man, it's going to be an amazing event. It's not just the basketball. It's so much more than that. It really is an incredible event. Everything about it, celebrating the culture. But you want to be there. Get your tickets right now by going to CIAAtournament.org. February 22nd through 26th at Royal Farms Arena. CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org in order to get your tickets. When we come back in, Patrick Stevens is going to join us. We'll talk about college hoops and college lacrosse happenings from the weekend. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Damn.
Keith Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le
champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Stay tuned. Your chance to win $1 million is coming up. Probably not from us. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. All right, Spiro's going to join us in the studio here in a bit. We're going to go over the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees, getting a lot of opinions. By the way, the one that I'll go ahead and dismiss, those of you that are like, Eminem can't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's not rock and roll. You're just screaming at a cloud now. Steve, I love you. You know I love you. You're one of my favorites, but you're screaming at a cloud at this point. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has made it very clear that like they are more all-encompassing than that. This is not like breaking ground here by putting a rapper in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There are plenty that are already in. They've decided to go that route. Same thing with like Dolly Parton being a nominee. They've decided that it's a more all-encompassing music. I have no problem like debating the merits of someone within that category, like saying I don't think like if I'm trying to think of a good example. If boy, who's a good one here? If 50 Cent was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I would have no problem with someone saying, yeah, I just don't think 50 Cent really stands out among like rappers of his era. I think he was fine and nothing more than that. I think that'd be a very legitimate argument to have. But just saying, well, they're not a rock and roll, they're a rapper, you know, that's over. Like we're over. That's been handled. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has made it very clear that they put in artists of other genres of music, so there's no debate about them. Is that your foot?
Yeah.
All right. I promise that wasn't.
What is happening?
Anyway, we're gonna move on from that topic immediately. Just gonna move on very quickly, as if that never occurred whatsoever. From Steve. Steve says, Glenn, have you thought at all about the Ravens pursuing Tyrann Mathieu? Yeah. Do it. What else do you want me to say, Steve? We do this all the time, and I'm not trying to knock anybody. Like I could spend 5 hours talking about all the players the Ravens should go sign. Go sign all of them, right? Go sign every single one. We know it doesn't work that way. We know these players cost money. We know that some guys that we think are going to be available definitely don't end up being available because the team that has them says, it's like I was talking about with Devontae Adams yesterday. Like we get all hot and bothered about, Devontae Adams, and then somebody else is like, yeah, why would a team that has the ability to keep him for another year just sort of say, go on, be lost with ye? Like that just doesn't make sense. So I don't get worked up about free agency until I know who's getting tagged and who isn't getting tagged. And then we can talk about a little bit more about free agency at that point. I still think that we know the Baltimore Ravens and know that historically they're not the team that makes big splashes in free agency. That isn't to say they shouldn't. That isn't to say there aren't players that don't fit them and what they do that would be a good idea. It's just that it bucks everything we know about who the Baltimore Ravens have been as a franchise, and for me to suddenly assume that's what they're going to be, this is going to be the year that they change everything about the way they've done business, and now they're out there trying to win the off-season Super Bowl. They want to be the Washington football fellers, the Washington football commanders, whatever it is they are.
That's so cool if the name was changed to Fellers.
Oh, that's all they've been
Washington
to me.
football
I'm
fellers.
all in on the Washington football fellers. I kind of wish they would have stuck with that. That's the notion that that's who they're going to be moving forward. I'm not going to make that assumption. And so because of that, I'm going to bet against them doing all of these things. I'm always going to bet against the Ravens doing it until they do it. Of course, we know they're not impossible. It's possible they could single out someone and say, this is the guy. We need to get this guy. They absolutely could do that. But until they do, everything about their history and their track record says that's probably not who they're going to be, so I'm not going to work around the assumption that that's who they're going to be. I know Tyrann Mathieu was making winky faces or whatever with Patrick Queen on social media. What's he supposed to say? No, I'd hate it there. I definitely not want to be in Baltimore.
He could not comment. He doesn't have to say anything about it.
These are guys that he knows. If somebody he knew in whatever, wherever it was, in New England, was like, I'd like to have him here, what's he going to say back? Like, no, stop.
He was the dude I wanted when they signed Earl Thomas.
Don't get me wrong. I like everything about Tyrann Mathieu. I like everything about him. But Tyrann Mathieu is going to be in significant demand. I am not going to assume that Tyrann Mathieu is going to end up being a Baltimore Raven. I get it. I know we all like shiny new toys. It's Christmas morning. We want to wake up and there be something pretty under the tree. But everything about the way they've done business suggests they're not likely to make a significant splash in free agency because they don't do that. They sign players who get cut by other teams. They value compensatory picks. We've had that debate a billion times. We can have it moving forward. But it's what they've done. And so until they do something otherwise, I'm just largely going to assume that's what they're going to do. It's Tuesday. On Tuesdays, we talk college sports with our friend Patrick Stevens at Discourse, D1S Course on Twitter and the Washington Post. Patrick, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, Glenn. How are you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I think, to me, if we start with big stories locally on the hoops scene, Navy's defense kind of jumps off the page at me. I saw that in person on Saturday. It was very impressive. I know they followed it up with another startling performance defensively last night. The Navy defense seems like something that needs to be discussed a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit. And they gave up 14 points in the second half to Lafayette.
That seems good.
Which is above average. And look, Lafayette wasn't great, but Navy had a great deal to do with their demise. And so, you look at Navy, you were kind of wondering after that Army game, right? They blow a 27-point lead. They lose in overtime at home. How are they going to react to that? And they've reacted by winning 4 of their next 5, picking off Bucknell, American, Loyola, and Lafayette. And the only loss was a 1-point loss, really a meltdown in a lot of ways against Lehigh, where they played great for about 36 minutes or so. So, I think, this defensive thing is an impressive jump even from last year when they were really good in the league last season. Something else that's worth pointing out here, I was thinking about this last night. This is a team that has won 21 of its last 26 conference games dating back to the end of last year. That's really hard to do no matter where you are.
No doubt.
And so, I think when you look at them, from talking to Ed DeChellis last night, I think on the plus side, he feels like they are buying in defensively. They are doing all that stuff. But I also feel like he thinks that they have another level that they can hit. That maybe there's some guys that aren't playing as well as they could be playing right now. I will tell you one guy that really played a great game last night was Richard Njoku, the senior big man for them. And the numbers might not necessarily bear it out. It was 10 points and 6 rebounds, which is a good game by any measure. Maybe not as good a game as you would think. I mean, he was crashing over the press table. He grabbed 3 offensive rebounds, had some putbacks. They really dominated the offensive glass. And a guy like that who's been around and him getting healthy as the year has gone on. Remember, he had a slow start to the season because of some preseason injuries. That's somebody that really stands out to me as somebody that really is what this Navy team is about, which is defending, rebounding, taking care of the ball. And for the most part, they did all three of those last night. And on the defensive side, I mean, this is a team that's 65th nationally in KenPom in defensive efficiency. So it's not just that they've played defense in the Patriot League well. They've played defense pretty much against everybody well so far this season.
Is it time to start talking about UMBC again?
Yes, it absolutely is time to start talking about UMBC. And I got a chance to see them on Saturday night over in Catonsville against New Hampshire, and they just came out, just an incredibly sharp start for them, and never really let New Hampshire get back into it. Wound up winning 88-77. That's 5 wins in a row for UMBC. It's the first time, you think back, remember, they had that 5-game losing streak in December and early January. It's the first time in 21 years that UMBC has had a 5-game winning streak and a 5-game losing streak in the same season.
Weird.
Such a hot or cold program when you think about it over the years. They've either been a team in contention for a conference title or a team that's really, really been struggling. And so now you look at them, and they've got, 4 home, 4 away the rest of the way in league play. They got helped out. It's not a great thing that we've seen Stony Brook basically told to pound sand by the league on their way out of the America East. But Stony Brook basically being told that they can't participate in the postseason tournament makes it even easier, I think, for UMBC to be able to host at least 1 and maybe 2 home games in the America East tournament if they can keep things rolling. They're only a half game back of a Binghamton team that they beat on the road for the number 2 seed. And you look at what they've got going right now. They've got a lot of pieces, I think, that are playing well. Darnell Rogers had a fabulous game the other day with 10 assists and no turnovers. LJ Owens, 19 points. Nathan Johnson, 16. They're at a point where they have, I think, kind of figured out who they are and what their rotation is after having those preseason injuries in the front court. And they really had about 7 guys that they leaned on a lot against New Hampshire. And, it helps anytime you go out and shoot 14 of 25 from 3. I mean, that
doesn't hurt.
That just has a way of making life a little bit easier.
No doubt.
But that's another team that's taking care of the ball, doing what it needs to do. They're a bunch that I think we're going to see continue to play well. They get Hartford at home, a team that's been it's been a rough go of it for the Hawks this year, just with some injuries and a pause and all this other stuff. So that's a Hartford team that'll be a little gassed. It'll be playing its get this. That's a team that will be playing its 5th game in 10 days as they roll into UMBC. And so that on Wednesday is pretty tough. They get the rematch with UMass Lowell, which beat them on a buzzer beater on Saturday, and then they go and they play the back end of the New Hampshire series in a makeup game before they get Stony Brook and Vermont back-to-back, which I think at this stage looks like 2 of the more significant games they'll play down the stretch in the regular season. But this is looking like this could be the second-best team in the America East behind Vermont. And obviously, all roads go through Burlington, as they almost always do in the America East. But UMBC has started to play well. And the fact that they won 2 games last week, they won 59-53 in a rock fight at Albany, and then just shot the heck out of the ball against New Hampshire, kind of goes to show you that they can win games in different ways.
Patrick Stevens is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Patrick, I don't know. I guess at this point, the only thing to say about Maryland is it was never likely they were going to find their way back into the conversation, but they've essentially clinched the fact that they're not finding their way back into the conversation now.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, first off, give them credit for having made that Michigan State game more interesting than it looked like it was going to be.
Sure.
In a lot of ways, that was a bit of a rerun of the Wisconsin game, right? Where Michigan State was able to build a lead, and then Maryland sort of fought its way back into it, made it interesting in the end, but the Spartans wound up escaping last week. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch a minute of the Ohio State game. I was watching a different bad game down in D.C. where Georgetown continues to lose and lose, and they lost to Providence on Sunday. But at this stage, this is the first time that Maryland has been under 500 6 or more games into a season since they went 12-16 in 1992-93. And so as the historical perspective there was, that's the year after Walt Williams departed, graduated from Maryland, the year before Joe Smith and Keith Booth showed up.
Yeah.
So it was Evers Burns and a lot of promising freshmen.
Was that a McClinton team by chance, or was he already gone at that point?
I don't think it was. I think Kevin McClinton was gone by then.
All right.
but it was Evers Burns was the main dude on that team.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of freshmen. Remember, it was Johnny Rhodes, Dwayne Simpkins, X-Ray Hip, Mario Lucas. And so that was very much Gary, playing the kids at that point after, he didn't have, an NBA lottery pick to trot out there anymore. But was also obviously waiting for Booth and Smith to show up the next year. And obviously things went from there. So it's a tough spot. And you look at what they've got coming up. There's obviously a handful of winnable games that you look at. You feel like Nebraska should be winnable for just about anybody at this point. They get Penn State and Minnesota at home. So I don't see this team going into a complete tailspin. But at the same time, there's some games left on the schedule, like Sunday at Purdue, that could be really, really ugly for this team. And senior day in East Lansing probably isn't going to be a piece of cake either.
No. I was chatting with Brendan Quinn, who wrote a big Maryland thing for The Athletic, and he threw out the name Wes Miller to me, and it's a name that, admittedly, I hadn't thought a lot about during all of this, Patrick. But the idea being, hey, yeah, he got a job, and it's a good job, but that Maryland is probably, I think we would all agree Maryland's a better job than Cincinnati. I don't know. It was an interesting name to throw out that I just hadn't thought about much at all during this prospect. What do you think about the idea of Wes Miller as a candidate at Maryland?
The reason probably you wouldn't think about him that much is he just got to Cincinnati, right? Like this is his first season at Cincinnati. He's done a nice job there at 15-7. They obviously got run by Houston, but no shame in that.
Sure.
Just about everybody's getting run by Houston. You look at what he did at Greensboro, which was a program that really hadn't done a whole lot, and it had been kind of up in the air a bit when he took over. And he took over in the middle of the season. At that point, they hadn't been to the tournament since 2001 when Fran McCaffrey was there. And so, it took him a couple years to get things going. He took over really, really young, but then ripped off 25, 27, 29, 23, 21 victories. And 2 NCAA tournament appearances over 5 years. I saw them beat Georgetown at Georgetown a couple seasons ago. He did a really, really good job and had an exceptional defensive player in Isaiah Miller, just a fabulous defender and one of the best players a lot of folks didn't really know about in the country the last few years. So, he has done good work. He obviously has a really good pedigree, played on the 2006 national championship, or 2000. He was around for the 2005 national championship team at North Carolina. And so, the thought was just because of his connections in that area that he might have been the next guy at Wake Forest when that job opened a couple years ago when Danny Manning was fired, but they ultimately hired Steve Forbes instead. But I agree. I think Wes Miller is a guy that has a lot of upside and is somebody that is going to ultimately do well at a bigger job. Now, maybe that bigger job is Cincinnati. Remember, they're headed to the Big 12 here in another year or two.
It's true.
So
yeah.
He's not in a bad spot. But I would agree that if you had your choice, you'd probably rather be at Maryland than Cincinnati. No disrespect to the Bearcats, who have been a very consistent team, really, just about aside from a blip there in the late 2000s. Really for about 30 years now, you've been able to count on them being a team that you're going to see come March just about every year.
I guess we should say the best basketball conference in the country, that is. The Big 12 is where they're headed. My God. All right, Patrick, I'm assuming we didn't learn all that much from the first couple of games of college lacrosse season, but a pretty big weekend on tap early on when you consider it Towson Hopkins, Loyola Maryland, like some significant games on tap this weekend.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we will take away from last weekend is what a weird sequence for Navy in that Navy Mount St. Mary's team. Navy allows 2 man-down goals, has 2 own goals as well, and loses 11-9. That's kind of you
not
don't
ideal.
See that every day.
Yeah.
You give up 11, but your defense can really only feel responsible for about 7 of those in a settled situation. So I think there might have been an extra man goal in there too for Mount St. Mary's. But credit to Mount St. Mary's for being able to go down there and win that game. And the goalie had 21 saves for Mount St. Mary's. McKinley, I think his name is Griffin McKinley, I think is the name. I apologize if I have that wrong. But this week you're right. A number of games that stand out. You mentioned Towson Hopkins on Friday. Hopkins goes to Georgetown on Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
That's a really tough weekend for the Blue Jays. On the flip side, that'll be on Sunday. Hopkins playing its 3rd game, Georgetown playing its 1st. So you never know what that dynamic is going to be like. And Loyola Maryland is the highlight game for sure when you look at it. We'll be curious to see how Maryland holds up against that veteran-laden Loyola team that we talked with Charlie Toomey about last week. How does Loyola kind of handle it? I think that's a great barometer to see exactly where the Greyhounds are. That'll be their opener, second game for Maryland, which came out of the chute, scored 21 goals on High Point, which isn't a huge surprise given the way that High Point plays. Like, it's not stunning to see 21-13 be that score. I think against another team, Maryland probably opens up with something more in the 16-5 range or something like that. But High Point kind of lends itself to having an up-tempo sort of frenetic approach to things. So definitely looking forward to that game on BTN. I'll be DVRing it while I'm dealing with basketball stuff and looking forward to watching that one on tape come the weekend.
By the way, Griffin McGinley with a G.
McGinley, my
is the
apologies.
goalie at Mount St. Mary's. All right, let's play our game. Can Patrick Stevens name the teams this particular baseball player has played for? Again, all of our 5+ team guys are extraordinarily tricky. I've got a 2-time All-Star and a 4-time Gold Glove winner, but admittedly, Patrick, I would have gotten 2 of these. I'm being flat out honest. This is what we're dealing with at this point. I got 6 teams. They're all short stints for the O-Dog Orlando Hudson.
Orlando Hudson, wow.
Yeah.
Well, the O-Dog was definitely a Blue Jay and definitely a Diamondback.
Those were the
right?
2 that I would have gotten, my friend. That's where the list would have ended for your boy.
Okay. Am I remembering the O-Dog in Pittsburgh?
I swear to God, I thought the exact same thing, and he was never in Pittsburgh. I have no idea why it is that we were both convinced that Orlando Hudson, I got to find out if they're like, they acquired him at some point and he just never played for them.
Yeah.
Because I 1,000% agreed that I thought he was a Pittsburgh Pirate at some point.
Yeah, I was pretty well convinced that he was. Was he a Yankee for a second?
Nope, this is going about as well as I feared it might.
How about Boston?
No, and you're going to kick yourself again over.
And that's time for the Dodgers.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the one that I'll give you.
Okay.
Yeah, the Dodgers.
So was he a National for a second?
No, never. He had 3. So the Dodgers were a 1-year stint too.
Cincy? I'm trying to think through this.
No. The White Sox.
Well, I mean, he was only an All-Star like in Toronto or Arizona. Anyway,
exactly.
Right?
That's the no. He was actually an All-Star with the Dodgers.
Okay.
In that one season. The Padres for 2 years, the Twins for a year, and the White Sox for a year. Look, man, I know I'm sorry. It's not on you. There is no world in which anyone on the planet should know all the teams that Orlando Hudson played for. I just never know when you're going to end up stunning me with one of these and you're going to knock them all out. So let's do something easier. Give me the 4 teams for David Justice.
David Justice was a Brave.
Yep.
A Yankee, an Indian, and was he an Athletic?
That's the way he finished up, absolutely, in 2002, 1 season with the Athletics. All right, what's on the schedule this week, sir?
Home tonight, but then over at George Mason for the second game of 2 between Richmond and George Mason this week. In College Park on Thursday for Iowa, Maryland. Some lacrosse on Friday, Hopkins and Towson. Saturday, looking at a doubleheader for basketball. That'll be Creighton and Georgetown to start off, and I think Loyola Colgate will be the second game. And then heading back to Georgetown to see Hopkins and the Hoyas for lacrosse come Sunday afternoon. And I believe I'm looking at a MEAC Monday here. Next Monday. I have not been to Morgan State yet.
I think I'm unless somebody surprises me with something, I think I'm good to join you for that one.
I think that is the current plan right now, is to be able to go catch them. I saw them the first weekend of the season at George Mason and was planning to see them right before Christmas, but they had a game canceled, as happens these days. So they play South Carolina State on Monday, so that's where I'm heading that day.
At Discourse, D1S Course on Twitter, Washington Post to see the brackets. Patrick Stevens, appreciate you, my friend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Awesome. Take care, Glenn.
Patrick Stevens joins us every week here to talk some college hoops, some college lacrosse as well. All right, hour number 1 is in the books. When we come back in, the man is here, Spiro Morekas, speaking of Towson, the play-by-play voice of the Towson Tigers, and we're going to break down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees for 2022. He's got some fire. He hates them all. He hates all of them. I don't agree on that. I got a few that I think are strong candidates. We'll talk about it next. Hour number 1 of today's show was also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Football. Use that code PRESSBOX when you deposit up to $100. We'll match it with free money for you to play with. I know there's only one football game left, but they've got basketball, they've got hockey, they've got all the other sports if they ever play baseball again. And you can't traditionally bet, but you can feel like you're betting by playing player props and parlays, things like that. And, of course, you can't bet yet on your phone or your computer here in the state of Maryland, so that kind of closes the loophole a little bit by playing Underdog Fantasy. UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy Football app. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
After being virtual in 2021, the CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament is headed to Charm City this February 22nd through 26th. The CIAA is an event that has become a celebration of family, culture, and accomplishments that uplift and strengthen the African American community. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA Men's and Women's Conference Tournament. Get your tickets now at CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR. Simply the Bets returns tomorrow. It's brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. We will go over, obviously, the focus of this week's show will be the Super Bowl and the various bets that you can make for that. We're going to chat with Bruce Billick, the GM of the FanDuel Sportsbook. Aaron Oster from VEASAN will join us tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. for Simply the Bets. We do it every week. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Spiro Morekas, my friend, the play-by-play voice. How you doing, buddy? Everything good? The play-by-play voice of the Towson Tigers. Back with us in studio. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Last time you were here, I spent 2 minutes. We'll talk about Towson because I do love and appreciate them, but then we know why you're really here. We were just talking off the air. Lacrosse starts on Friday.
6 o'clock.
I know this one's always one that
Hopkins
that gets you get a little you get a little amped for this one every year.
I do.
What it meant to you when Towson finally broke the streak a few years back and beat Hopkins.
I was not there.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that because you had basketball. Oh, that's right. My God. And I think I even joked to somebody. I bet Spiro went streaking after.
We were at Drexel that night.
Oh, man.
And the guy who was doing the play-by-play, great guy, Kevin Kopp, who's now at Temple.
Okay.
He was our director of broadcasting at the time, and he texted me immediately after the game apologizing. I'm like, what are you apologizing
for? Yeah, right?
for?
It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you at all. I do both lacrosse and soccer for Loyola, and they finally won they had won the Patriot League regular season in soccer.
Right.
for 6 straight years and lost in the semifinals every year. And this year, I just did the math wrong because the season was bumped back a week. And, like, my wife and I were going to a B&B, and, like, we had planned the whole thing, sunk a bunch of money, and then I looked and I was like, oh, no, I scheduled this wrong. And so they finally broke through in the semifinals and won the championship game. And they were like, are you really going to skip calling after everything we've been through? We're finally hosting the title game,
Right.
and you're really going to skip out to go to B&B? I'm like, I love you guys, but I don't want to end up being divorced. Like, that sounds really awful to me, and I know you're going to be as surprised as I am when I asked. She didn't want to go with someone else. Like, I said, you can take any gentleman you like, and she was like, no, I'd actually rather go with you. I'm like, what?
What's wrong with her?
I know, Spiro. I've been as confused as you are, my friend, over the years. So yeah, I got a good amount of crap from people about the fact that I missed out on them finally winning not quite the same as Towson beating Johns Hopkins in lacrosse. Not quite the same as that. But
Well,
hopefully it happens again, right, on Friday night, and
correct.
then
But
you'll.
big basketball games this week too.
Yep.
Thursday and Saturday. William and Mary at 5 on Thursday, and 2 o'clock Saturday against Elon.
I was there. I brought the kids for the.
And you didn't come by and say hello?
It's at one point I actually yelled down to you. When the kids be in there, it's a little bit more difficult for me, right? Like that's a whole circus, right? Like if I bring them down with me to see you, it ends up becoming awkward. Like they think they can run out onto the floor. This is a real. I took the kids when the PLL was at Homewood Field the one summer. Paul Rabel was very nice, hooked us up, got us field passes, and I'm not kidding. My younger son thought that meant he was in the game. Like, he legitimately ran out onto the – I was like, all right, we got to go. We got to get off the field. So I deal with some of that sometimes. But I did at one point yell for you, and I realized, you had a job to do. And so I gave up on that. But, yeah, I was there for the Drexel game. Stirring comeback.
Yes, it was.
In that game. Great atmosphere. The kids were in love. We got them phone fingers. They're all in. Like, they're so happy.
Game out of first. And if things go the way we expect Thursday and Sunday, then next week – huge game a week from Thursday at Wilmington.
Yeah.
Which will be for first place.
And that, of course, was a really good game the first time around that, unfortunately.
Lost in overtime.
Yep.
And then Hofstra beat them last night. So
okay.
We're just a game out of first.
So a big weekend in general to get out
Thursday,
to Towson.
Friday, Saturday.
No doubt.
Yep.
Big opportunity to get out and see the Tigers. All right, anything else we need to say about that, or can we get to the real reason you're here?
Well, I need to get something first.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. You need to get some. Did you prepare some notes? I'm excited about this. So the reason, this is we have this here.
Need this.
We have this here for when we got to do post game shows. This and when things go wrong, we just say, all right,
It's a bottle of Redemption bourbon.
Yep, it is quite tasty, by the way, quite tasty. My friend, the NFL chick Radi0 Hubbard, introduced me to mixing it with ginger ale.
Ooh, nice.
Very tasty, problematically tasty. Real issue for you.
I am no longer allowed to drink bourbon. I've been forbidden from
You get by your wife?
Yeah,
you get a little too aggressive.
No, I don't get aggressive. I just start having a really good time, and she thinks.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I start enjoying myself, and then it becomes jackassery, if that's a word.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't like that. She says I'm a different person, so bourbon is no longer on my drinking list.
I'm a more peaceful bourbon drinker myself.
I love bourbon. The thing is, I usually drink it with my best friend, and he can be a jackass, and then that rubs off on me.
I'm going to sit by the fire, smoke a cigar, have a bourbon type. That's my, just let the evening sort of play out. That's my fall Saturday evening play, is start a fire, have a cigar, have some bourbon, and just pass out, right? And, realize that I fell asleep an hour ago outside.
There you go.
That's sort of the way that it works for me. So you are not – so, Spiro, I saw the list of nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
Right.
And I said, well, the last time Spiro was here, we were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so we're going to need to have him come back in to break down. There is a chance, by the way, we might have a special guest appearance to join us and share some opinions as well during the course of this hour.
All right.
I said, I'm going to have to invite Spiro back in, and he said, good. And I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was something similar to
this class stinks.
Exactly right. That was exactly about the verbiage of what he sent. And I said, oh, good. I like about half of it. So we're going to have a nice debate here.
And how do you want to do it? You want to go alphabetically?
This is what I want to do, actually.
Okay.
And Cassidy, could you get a blank piece of paper from out in the printer to give to Spiro because I wanna actually post this at the website later. Our opinions.
All right.
I asked people, and I got some good responses, to break down this list of nominees into 3 categories: strong feelings, mild feelings, and no or negative feelings.
Okay.
All right. And so I'm going to have Paul post this a little bit later today at glennclarkradio.com with both of us having which. So I want us to both write down so I can just hand it to Paul and make it easier on him instead of asking him to remember everything.
Thank you.
Again, we're going to throw one out.
Okay. And you want me to put it in a
strong, mild, or no/negative feelings about them as a candidate. I have done my best this morning. I was trying to make some like baseball Hall of Fame comparisons to certain people. I was trying to like think about what I believe their career WAR would be. Like if I said this, what is the career WAR, for example, the New York Dolls, right? Like I was trying to do some of that in my head. I've already forgotten all of the work that I was doing in my head on the way in. So we'll see how it goes. So here's how I think we do this.
All right.
I'm going to throw one out.
Okay.
We'll debate that one, and then we'll move on to one. You'll throw the next one out, and then we can debate that one. All right? And I'm going to start. I'm going to start to be in order to be positive.
Okay.
To me, there is an absolute no-brainer, slam dunk. I can't believe this would be like when they do the Football Hall of Fame, and they would walk into the room and they would say, Joe Montana, end of debate. And nobody else would say anything, and they would just all vote yes, and they'd move on to whoever the next candidate was.
All right.
There is one of those to me in this group. Of this group of nominees, there is absolutely no question in my mind whatsoever that Rage Against the Machine is a slam dunk first ballot rock and roll Hall of Famer. In the modern alternative era, no one I would compare them to. They would be the Frank Thomas to me of this era. Historically, Frank Thomas didn't hit the most home runs. He wasn't the best hitter in the history of baseball. But in his era, there was no consistently better first baseman in baseball than Frank Thomas was. And in Rage Against the Machine's era, there was no consistently better alternative band than Rage Against the Machine. They had something to say. They made just jams that you would hear today. You would hear Bulls on Parade today right now, and you would lose your mind. You would go crazy. It's that good of a song. Killing in the Name of. All of them. Everything about Rage Against the Machine to me screams first ballot rock and roll Hall of Famers. Oh, and I see the face that you're making and can't wait for this.
I will put this as succinctly as I can. If they were playing in my backyard, I'd close the blinds.
The hell? What do you not like
Tom
about
Morello's
Rage
a jackass.
Well, okay, that might be a different conversation.
He's a guitar player that, tries to wow you with all his stuff and
the wah-wah I'm not trying to tell you that I'm in love with the wah-wah, right?
I will tell you. To me, melody.
We like Royal Farms around here.
Melody is extremely important.
I understand that.
They have no melody. They're none. Zero. Their music does absolutely nothing to me. I put them in the negative.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Rage Against the Machine.
Oh my God!
Out.
Hit after hit after hit. An era-defining band.
You could walk down the streets of Manhattan and couldn't get 5 people to name you one.
That's
Rage
not
Against the Machine
that's
song.
not remotely true. You're just saying that. You're just saying that now. Oh, you're just saying that now. That's not remotely true. Everyone knows Killing in the Name of. It's a very wildly era-defining type of tune. They absolutely spoke. Again, a bit younger. I'm not trying to age you, Spiro, but a bit younger, the generation that they spoke to. But Rage Against the Machine was the defining band of someone that, I'm going to say Pearl Jam was the defining band. They were right behind that, right? And I'm certainly not trying to take a shot at Pearl Jam. I happen to like Rage Against the Machine even more than I like Pearl Jam, right? And I don't get me wrong, I love Pearl Jam. They're tremendous.
I think my wife's listening. She's probably going to want to come over here and.
Why? Because she's just obsessed with Pearl Jam?
Oh, my God.
I love Pearl Jam. I make that very clear. I'm not trying to take a single
shot. She is so disappointed. They were supposed to play at the Civic Center.
Right.
Whatever you want to
call
it. 2 years ago, and then the pandemic hit. So now they're rescheduling their tour. And the Royal Farms Arena is going through a major renovation.
Oh, that's right.
So they can't So she found out yesterday
that sucks.
she's getting a refund.
That
and she
sucks.
is not a happy camper.
I cannot believe. This to me is the easiest. I'm not even kidding about this. This was absolutely the easiest one. You know what? To Paul's point, when Chris Cornell joined the band and they were called Audio Slave for a little bit, that there was much more melody to that. It was much more soulful what they were doing at that point. But I like that too. I like that a lot. I can't believe that. All right. Well, what's the first one you want to throw out?
All right. The first one I will throw out. This is somebody that I have to put in. Is that
no?
Or
you're telling me where they are on your list.
This goes right next to Rage Against the Machine. First of all, I don't know why they're even nominated.
Ooh.
Is the New York Dolls.
Okay, I'm good with this. They're on my no negative list, but more no than negative.
I mean, David Johansen's biggest hit was when he was Buster Poindexter.
It's so true. It's so true.
It's so true. They were associated with Andy Warhol and that whole nonsense.
And the Velvet Underground and
the Velvet Underground.
Right. Look, I think there's something to be said for what they did for. And it's interesting because let's go ahead.
They go in the same category with another band.
I think the MC5 conversation
Correct.
is
Both
very
of them
similar.
only put out like 2 albums. So how are you putting somebody in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that only put out like 2 albums?
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that MC5 is also in my no category.
Correct.
Again, not negative for me on either one of them. I think
they come from that Detroit scene with the Stooges, and which led to Bob Seger, which Bob Seger's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, of course.
Iggy Pop and.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same.
I put Iggy Pop in the same category. Somebody we talked about earlier, Patti Smith. The critics all
love. Yes, correct. And look, Iggy Pop had a couple of tunes that, you hear them, you're still going to jam along. Right. But I'm in a weird place with both of them because I feel like their consideration as nominees has something to do with making a statement about the impact that they had on punk and what ultimately became alternative music. And I can't speak to that, right? Because I'm not a punk or alternative musician, but those people that are in that world loved these bands. Swear by the New York Dolls and swear by MC5.
Right.
I would say they're low war
Hipster
guys.
Doofuses.
Yeah, I don't know if I was going to go that far, but you're not that far off. You're not that far off that it's a lot of hipster doofuses that love these bands.
Right.
I think their music is good. I think that people obsess over the band The Strokes, for example, right? I get the obsession over the White Stripes. I think the White Stripes made truly transcendent music for a few years, right? I genuinely love the White Stripes. Jack White, of course, and all of the various bands that he's been in. He's a genius. But I truly love the White Stripes for the 3-4 records they put out. I thought they were incredible, and I think there'd be a real argument for them as Rock and Roll Hall of Famers at some point because their music was so good. But the Strokes to me are.
I get tired of hearing it at Ravens games, but
yeah, right. I get it. That's become a bit over the top over the years, but their music is still good.
Yes.
Right. And by the way, even that song is a very good song.
Yeah, it is a good song.
It's just you've been beat over the head with it over the years. I understand that. The Strokes, I look at and I'm sort of like, they've had some good tunes. They're okay, but people really obsess over them, and that's sort of the way that I feel about these two bands. They're okay.
I can't disagree with any of that.
That they're okay. They're good. I don't.
Again, both of them put out like 2 albums. That's it.
I think MC5 was 3.
Well, they put out a live album. Kick Out the Jams,
all right, yeah.
Which was
And Kick Out the
their
Jams
best-selling
was
album.
tremendous, right? Tremendous tune, oft-covered. You'll hear a lot of bands do Kick
Right.
Out the Jams over the years. It just in no way stands out to me in a way that I say this must be a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, or even I feel like they should be a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. I think you note their impact on the music industry, and you move on from there.
Correct.
Is the way that I feel about both of them. So I'm totally fine lumping them both into the same category.
All right.
They're both no's
So
to
you got
me.
a no-brainer and 2
No's, yes.
And I got 3 no's.
Yeah, you're not doing so good on anybody that
I
you
think
feel
I'm doing
anything.
very well.
Okay, give me somebody who's not in the no category for you of this
Somebody
list,
who's
Spiro.
not in the no category. All right. And I'm sure I'll get some feedback about this.
Oh, boy.
To me, the no-brainer out of this group is Dolly Parton.
I don't. Who would debate that? Who would possibly debate Dolly Parton as a? Dolly Parton is absolutely in the strong category for me as well. I think the only debate about Dolly Parton is when people go back to the why call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Well,
if you're gonna? But we're past that.
We're way past
We're
that.
way past that. And I'd even go beyond that, which is to say that uniquely Dolly Parton, I think, is beloved by the rock and roll community and embraced by the rock and roll community because of like what she stands for and the figure that she's been within the music industry over the years. I think that people that love rock and roll have loved Dolly Parton in a way that, like, if you put up Celine Dion and said, well, my God, you know, like her voice is unbelievable and she had 1 billion hits, right? There would be an argument for her as a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, but nobody that liked rock and roll was super into Celine Dion.
Well, there's somebody else on that list that's like that.
I think
That
I
to
know who
me
you're
is
talking
very,
about.
Very borderline.
I think we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I look at Dolly Parton and I said, what is the argument against? Like, the only argument against could be saying that she's a country singer, right? She's not a rock and
Okay.
But we're past that. Everything about Dolly Parton reeks. You know, her songs are wonderful. She wrote "I Will Always Love You."
Right.
Put her in the damn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for that alone. If Jolene never existed, and I don't care, you can call it corny. I love 9 to 5. If I hear 9 to 5 today, I'm going to sing along to every word of the song. I get it. It's a corny, silly little song, but I'm still going to do it because it's catchy as hell. It's that good of a tune, man. I can't fathom it being a hole in Dolly Parton's candidacy.
She's in. I mean, she's a fantastic songwriter. I mean, you know, she created a whole brand that is tremendous in the Ozarks.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
Isn't that where it is?
It's in Tennessee.
Dolly World?
It's in.
I thought it was in Missouri.
No, it's in Tennessee. It's in Pigeon Forge, I believe. Yeah, right. You've been to I've been to Dollywood too, actually. Once
Have you?
when I was a kid, we went. I was down there. It's a silly little place. I mean, it's very silly, but it's.
I mean, this doesn't have anything to do with it, but she's
right.
been married to the same guy for like 72 years.
Oh,
you
and
know?
she's an icon. She's just
Right.
an icon. And everything about Dolly Parton reeks of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to me.
Right.
I'm 100% in agreement.
Okay.
I'll give you another one to me that I feel strong about, and it's, you know, if we listed this person's accomplishments against others, I would be willing to have the debate. I don't know why this person jumps the line ahead of some other people that maybe aren't in from the same genre, but as far as what Eminem did in the hip-hop world and what Eminem did in the music world, I can't fathom a debate about him being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Eminem, to me, is the definition of someone that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His first record was silly. Like, you go back to Hi, My Name is Slim Shady. That was kind of a silly record, but everything he did for the few albums after that was transcendent, was larger than life. I mean, him doing the song with Stan and doing with Elton John at the Grammys was an iconic moment. Eminem's a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
His
man.
movie.
Oh, 8 Mile was brilliant. By the way, I remember people like going and seeing 8 Mile just because they loved Eminem and trying to convince me that it was a really good movie, and I was like, all right, dude, like, stop. It's Eminem starring in a movie. There's no way it's that good. And then you go see it, and you're like, holy F, this is incredible.
And again, this is like Dolly Parton. Is that rock and roll? No,
Not really.
But we as you said, we have transcended that at this point. So yeah, for me, he's in.
Yeah, this is there's a no. I don't know what the argument would be about Eminem whatsoever.
I don't either.
I can't fathom it. He has accomplished everything you could possibly accomplish in this business, and the majority of his songs to me are quite good, frankly.
4 out of 5 we've agreed on. This is not good.
Yeah, I can't believe Rage was the only one we disagreed on so far. All right, we're debating the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Paul in Orlando is mad about the Rage Against. He's very mad at you about the Rage Against the Machine thing. I don't blame him. I'm mad at you too. I'm mad at you too about that. All right, give me the next one for you.
This one goes into my.
No way.
I don't know who the hell this person is.
Oh, okay.
Fela Kuti.
You know what? I'm gonna say.
I looked them up last.
Yes.
Looked him up last night. He's a Nigerian band leader,
jazz musician.
You know, I gotta say no.
By the way, I agree with you, and this is the ironic part about it. I had never spent any time with Fela Kuti. Went down to listen
I don't
last
even know
night.
if I'm saying his name right.
He's amazing. Like, he's really good. His music is excellent. I want to spend more time with it. But a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer?
Right.
No.
I mean, you can go to a club anywhere and run into a musician who's phenomenal.
No question.
Doesn't mean they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Not. There's just no debate whatsoever about it. I was trying to come up with a
I don't
baseball.
know who that is.
Trying to come up with a baseball comparison for Fela Kuti, like someone who. And I can't. I'll give you an example. I'm obsessed. I believe Kenny Lofton should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think Kenny Lofton
borderline.
was one of the most overlooked great baseball players that existed. I don't even think Fela Kuti I can make a Kenny Lofton argument for, right?
No, absolutely not.
I've never heard of the person.
Correct, because most baseball fans,
Yes,
99%,
know who Kenny Lofton
Kenny
is.
Lofton
Correct. I can't make any argument other than to say I spent time listening to Fela Kuti, and it made me want to listen to more because he's really good.
I'll tell you what. I will give you this. I'll bet you that more people walking down the street of Manhattan know a Rage Against the Machine song
I can't
than
believe
know
you're
Fela
still
Kuti.
going back to the everybody knows Rage Against the Machine song, Spiro. Everyone. Because I'm going to say this. I'm not sure. Now I'm looking at Cassidy's face. Cassidy's our resident young person. Cassidy, you don't.
Do you know any Rage Against the Machine songs?
You can pick up your microphone.
Nope.
Pick up the microphone,
Nope.
Cassidy.
No, I do not.
There you go. Do
Yes,
you know
you
any
do.
Fela Kuti songs?
Okay, I probably do. That's the thing. But I'm more of like,
Never.
what?
But wait a
Yeah,
minute.
no.
If you heard a song and you said, "Oh, that's them," that's not rock and roll. You got to know who they are if you want to be in the rock and
Really?
roll Hall
Hang
of
on a
Fame.
second. We're going to
I
do
agree
this.
with that. I actually
No,
agree with that.
she can't. It
Hang
doesn't
on a
make any
second.
difference whether she has heard their music.
I do think it
If
matters.
she doesn't know who they are, if I mention to you a rock and roll Hall of Fame person and you can't name one song, she can't name a song. You might play her something and she goes, "Oh, that's
But
them."
remember, she's young.
Doesn't
We
make any
keep that in mind, right?
Hey,
Like,
I still have my like.
hang on a second. This is an honest question. Can you name a Fleetwood Mac song?
A Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. Can you name a Fleetwood Mac song?
Dreams.
All right. That blew up in my face. Boy, that
There
blew
you
up
go.
in my face big time.
would
All
love
right.
to see
Well,
him in concert.
well, that was a 10-8 round. That did not go well for you,
I met
boy.
Bob Welch once,
Okay.
who was in Fleetwood Mac before
Mhm.
they hit it big. And then Bob Welch had a couple of hits.
I was going to say,
Sentimental
how did his
Lady,
life go
something.
after that?
So I used to work at a record store on Liberty Road, Record Theater, and we used to get free tickets to concerts. So this guy and I got free tickets to go see. We got backstage passes to Fleetwood Mac. They're playing at the Capitol Center. And he was a big autograph guy. My buddy Mac. He was
Okay.
a huge autograph
So did he-
guy. So we're backstage, and there's two different backstages. There's backstage for the morons, and then there's backstage for the real VIPs. We were in the moron backstage. area.
Right.
And Bob Welch is there. So Mac walks up to him and says, "Aren't you Bob Welch?" And he says, "Yes." He says, "Could I get your autograph?" Gave him his autograph. He goes, "Is there any way you can go in there and get me the rest of the band's autographs?"
Okay. Are you kidding me?
And
You
Bob
really?
Welch looks at him and he says, "First of all, no. Second of all, the only guy that talks to me is Mick Fleetwood. The rest of them don't."
Yeah, right. And you probably don't even care about me. Everybody in the band. You want Lindsey Buckingham's autograph. You want Stevie Nicks' autograph. That's really funny. I can't fathom that. And I see, by the way, when we do like Ravens player shows, we get this all. Dude, do you think you could talk to Lamar Jackson for me? Like, no, I don't know you. I would. Tyus says this mail. Tyus Bowles would be like, if my brother asked me for that, I wouldn't do it for him. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be a thing whatsoever. Some stranger comes up to me. Hey, I got a question for you. You think you can go talk to Ray Lewis for me? Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna get right on that. I'm gonna get right on that, Chief. Kenji Bahar, who played with the Ravens this season, he's a
Oh,
kid
I
from
thought
Cal.
maybe he played with
No, yeah,
Fela
Fela Kuti, right? He was from Calvert Hall, and he got to be on the roster this year, and he was sort of like their emergency quarterback. He dressed for the game when everybody had COVID. And I asked him, I'm like, dude, did you, like take advantage of this? Did you go over and get a signed jersey from Lamar Jackson? He's like, no. No. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not going to walk around like I don't belong here, like I'm a tourist.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I hear you, but like how many opportunities are going to have to do something like this, man? I get it. All right, we're breaking down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Spiro Morekas, the play-by-play voice from Towson, is in studio with us. We're through 6 so far.
Okay.
And Spiro's doesn't feel mild about anybody. Spiro's very much
I'm not
you're
mild.
in or you're
I
not.
got some milds here. I got some milds coming up.
All right. Who threw out the last one? You did, Fela Kuti. So it's back to me. You know what? Let me throw it because I haven't put a mild on my list either yet. So let's, for the sake of it, I'll put a mild on here.
All right.
I am mild about Dionne Warwick. Mild.
Okay.
Show Me the Way to San Jose is a great tune. She's had some great tunes. I know there are people that feel very strongly about Dionne Warwick. I am largely indifferent towards Dionne Warwick.
Now, you were not born.
I was not.
I was.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the radio all
I hear you.
the time.
I hear you.
All the time. You know, her and Burt Bacharach were like connected together.
Sure.
She did all the Burt Bacharach songs. And then she came back. She had the huge hit, That's What Friends Were For.
Yeah, it was a massive hit. No
You know.
question about it. Not for me. And by the way, this is where, like, we were talking about this with Celine Dion a second ago. I know it doesn't matter. I know we've identified and said it doesn't matter what kind of music you make.
Right.
But I still need to lean towards something that might fit a bit more. Oh, we're going to end up fighting about somebody else. I already know somebody else on the list we're going to fight about. There's nothing rock and roll at all to me about Dionne Warwick.
No.
She's the definition of easy listening meh to me. I think she's talented, but I don't think her music ever really showed off that talent, right? Like, I don't think she ever challenged herself vocally. I think she made easy music to make, frankly.
To me, she is the steroid candidate of this.
Okay.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Explain that to me.
She had a great career.
Yeah.
She then became the spokesperson for the Psychic Network.
Oh, that did definitely. That was what most people knew her for a very long time.
To me, that's like.
Well, that's disqualifying to you.
She took it's like she took steroids. She spent 10 years pushing the Psychic Network.
I can't believe that's disqualifying. Look. I'm willing to. That makes her. Right,
I'm mild.
I think that makes her more like the Kurt Schilling of this group, right?
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Like where it's more. By the way, I don't think it's a slam dunk that Kurt Schilling has to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame no matter what. I think that he probably had a Hall of Fame caliber career based on the postseason, but I don't think it's the slam dunk that some people believe that from a baseball standpoint, he's definitely a surefire Hall of Famer.
Mike Messina's in, Kurt Schilling has to be in.
Okay.
Messina was a little better.
He was definitely better. Schilling was obviously had the
Better
postseason success. It's an interesting argument. But we all know Kurt Schilling went nuts. Like it's not. He wants you to believe that it's because he likes Donald Trump. I assure you, there are plenty of people in the Baseball Hall of Fame that love Donald Trump. Plenty of them. It's not because he loves Donald Trump. It's because he went nuts and started saying extreme, absurd, at times dangerous things, right?
Well, he came out and told everybody, "Don't vote for me." So,
then that made it right, and that obviously was the end of it after.
That's what you want. I won't vote for you. But I mean, your Celine Dion reference I think is appropriate here. I mean, but she was all over the radio.
Yep.
For about a 3-year period.
Big star, relevant, matters. I don't feel as strongly about.
Isn't she Whitney Houston's aunt?
There is some sort of there is 100%.
Yeah,
I don't feel as strongly like Diana Ross. That's a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, right? Like
that's a no-brainer.
That is top of the top.
Yes.
Dionne Warwick, if she gets in, I don't think it's offensive, right? Like I think she had a wonderful career and is
this
a
her
talent.
first time on the ballot?
I haven't been able to figure.
If it is, then no. She's not a first ballot.
Not a first ballot rock. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. There's no way that it would be okay for her to be a first ballot rock and roll. I got to assume she's been on the ballot before. It's Dionne Warwick.
I don't know.
She's not young. Like I can't assume that this is. I think it's 25 years from your first album that you first become eligible.
For your first piece of recorded music, right?
So I'd be surprised if she was a first ballot Hall of Famer. She gets in, fine. It certainly is not embarrassing that Dionne Warwick would be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just don't feel strongly about her because her music never really spoke to me in any sort of way.
All right, my turn?
Yes.
This is a lock.
Oh.
Carly Simon.
Oh, we feel very differently about this. Oh, I love it. Explain to me why Carly Simon is anything more than You're So Vain. Because all of the rest of her music to me is extraordinarily forgettable.
I think you're wrong. I think you haven't listened.
I've spent time. I literally just this week went back and re-listened to make sure that I wasn't.
What did you listen to? You're So Vain?
No, I know You're So Vain,
Well,
Spiro.
okay.
I went and spent some more time with Carly Simon. I'll tell you. I'll give you some songs that I listened to this week because I actually did. I felt like I must be wrong about something. Hang on a second. Carly Simon. I listened to Coming Around Again. I listened to You Belong to Me. I listened to Why. I listened to That's the Way I've Always Heard It.
Unbelievably great song.
Should be. I felt
anticipation.
I
It
felt
was a Heinz ketchup commercial.
I felt indifferent.
Okay.
I felt
You felt
nothing more.
Two hot girls on a hot summer night. Great song. I mean,
I don't know that song for what it's worth.
Okay.
I'd be willing to spend time with it. I'd be willing to dive back in. I'm telling you, the time that I spent with Carly Simon, I felt myself.
she was on the radio as much as Dionne Warwick, but she is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame person. You know, she had a duet with her husband. That was a big hit.
Yep.
James Taylor.
Yep.
She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
She literally is on my no list.
Okay.
Not even a
All right.
mild. Carly
There you
Simon
go.
is on my no list.
There you
We
go.
just Rage Against the Machine that one. I'm going to guess. I think you alluded to something. I think the next one I'm going to put out, because there's somebody who's on my strong list that I'm going to guess you don't feel strongly about. Knowing what I know, I think you're going to feel about this person the way that you felt about Journey when we discussed them.
Okay.
To me, oh yeah, okay. Papa Cash just got really mad to find out that you don't love Journey. You should see.
I have them on vinyl. I have their albums on
That's
vinyl.
nice.
I love them.
Oh my
They're mediocre.
So wonderful.
They're just mediocre.
I'm
they're
so
there.
prepared for you to say that about the next person I'm putting in my strong category.
By the way, one of my favorite YouTube videos of all time, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time I was here or not. Steve Perry singing "Don't Stop Believing" in the playoffs against the San Francisco
100%.
Giants.
Yeah, tremendous,
That's
wonderful.
just a great video.
I'm going to put this person in my strong category, and I think you're going to disagree with me. That's my prediction, is that
Okay.
you're going to disagree with me.
All
I
right.
feel strongly about Lionel Richie. I feel very strongly about Lionel Richie. I love Lionel Richie.
I got him.
You got it. You're mild. All right, I'll deal with that. I'll live with that.
He's borderline.
I absolutely adore.
You said that Carly Simon's music did nothing for you.
I understand. There is an argument that like there are Lionel Richie songs. If you want to say "Dancing on the Ceiling" is sort of a silly, campy song, and it doesn't do that much for you, I'll get it,
All
right?
night long.
But his see, I feel. Say You Say Me is one. You got a microphone, Cassidy. You're allowed to pick it up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just said, what about Say You Say Me?
So I love that song. I love it.
Is that the video with the blind girl?
Yes, it is. Yes, 100%. That's the one.
That was the cheesiest video.
Who cares about? They're all cheesy videos.
Well, wait a minute. One of these bands, the only reason they're on the list is because of
Oh,
videos.
yeah, we'll get to them. We will get to them. You're right. You're right about that. I think Lionel Richie is a transcendent talent, and I think his talent shone through. Unlike Dionne Warwick, who I don't think her talent shone through in all of her
I will
music.
give Lionel Richie this. He wrote all his own music.
100%. And I think
much like Carly Simon. But anyway. And Dionne Warwick did not write anything.
that is true. That is true.
Neither did Joan Jett.
You hate Joan Jett. It's so funny to me that you hate Joan Jett.
I don't hate
Oh,
Joan
are you?
Jett.
Yeah, I'm going to the Motley Crue concert.
Oh, that's cool.
with
That's
Joan
cool.
I don't hate her. She just doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's all.
I love everything about Lionel Richie. I love, and you know what's really funny?
I have no problem with that.
I get like what you say about All Night Long, but I'm telling you, to me that comes on at a party. I'm getting up and I'm dancing.
Okay.
It's just the way that it goes.
It's on my iPod. Yes, I still have an
Wow,
iPod.
wow. How old are you, Spiro?
I still
How
have
old
I love
are
my
you?
iPod. I love my iPod.
Actually, I had like a 160 gig iPod, and I lost it on an airplane once, and it's the saddest I've ever been in my life because I had like so many songs that were like recorded live stuff that I couldn't get back. You know, like you couldn't find. I was really very, very. It was like losing a close family member. Like
we went from Long Island to Boston last weekend with the basketball team, and I couldn't wait to get on the bus and just put my
I get
iPod
it.
on and
hit
go.
shuffle and go.
Next week, I'm driving to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I can't wait to get in my car.
I
By
get
the
it.
time I get there
I
on
get
Wednesday
it.
night, I will be hoarse.
I haven't canceled my Spotify yet, so I'm still good in that department.
Don't
We'll
get me
see.
started on that. Come on.
All right, Lionel Richie is a strong feeling.
By the
for me.
way, about the most un-rock and roll move of all time, Neil Young. Thank you.
All right. I look. I don't want to talk about it. I have no interest in it. Next,
Let's go rocking
who's
in
next?
the free world.
Who's next on
Neil.
Who's next on your list?
Next on my list. All right, well, we just kind of mentioned them a little bit, so I will put them in my mild.
Brian Powell says both Carly Simon and Rage should be locks.
Okay. Mild to negative.
Okay.
Can I have that category?
Yeah, you can,
like
but
in between
but
mild
I
and
think there's a difference
leaning
between
towards negative than
Yeah,
mild.
either put it in negative or put it in mild, Spiro. Mild means
the hell with them. I'll put it in negative.
All right.
Duran.
Oh boy. We do not agree on that. Now, here's what I would say. They're mild to me. It's mild
The
to me.
reflex gave me acid reflux.
Look, man, this is the other thing that we got to talk about is commercial success and whether or not that outweighs what you feel about the band, right? And I get it, because then we're going to go to a different place, right? Like somebody would say, does Creed get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? They were wildly commercially successful. I do think it matters for a borderline conversation, right?
Okay.
Like if I don't dismiss Duran Duran as being garbage. I think they made fine music. It was fair to the era. It was very similar to a lot of music that was being made in that era, and it was memorable amongst music in that era.
I think Duran Duran, if you had never seen their videos, okay, and only heard their music, you'd be, eh. But because they had scantily clad, beautiful women in all their videos.
It helps, yeah.
You're visualizing that while you're listening to the song when it's playing on the radio.
But you're not going to tell me that, like, Hungry Like the Wolf stinks. It doesn't stink. It's a fine song.
It's okay. It's not Rock and Roll Hall of Fame good.
I'm putting them in a mild category. I'm not telling you they have to be in.
I thought you had them
No,
in.
No. I don't think they have to be in. They're not going to offend me getting in. I think Duran Duran was based on popularity in the era. I had a baseball comparison earlier for Duran Duran that it's going to drive me nuts because I can't think of what it was now. Duran Duran to me, oh God, hang on. I'll give you. It was a pitcher that I compared them to. I'll come back. I'll pull it back up. I like Duran Duran. I like them. That's the end of it. I like them. I like.
I found them annoying.
I think Tom Glavine maybe was the comparison that I make, where like you think they're.
I didn't find Tom Glavine annoying.
I understand that, but like his numbers don't. We treat Tom Glavine like one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history. His numbers don't actually back that up, right?
Okay.
Like
he was steady.
He was a good pitcher at a time where, because he was teammates of Greg Maddux and John Smoltz, them together kind of elevated each other. Greg Maddux was an era-defining pitcher.
Correct.
The other two were good to really good pitchers, right? Duran Duran to me was a good band. They made good songs.
Okay.
They don't make like songs that I would hold up and say these are some of the greatest songs in the history of rock and roll. No, not at all. But they're good. And because of that, to me, I'd be fine with them getting in. I'm not going to bang on the table for them to get in.
Okay.
Next.
To me, they're out.
Okay. Next.
It's your turn.
You pissed. Oh, it's me.
I said Duran
All right.
Duran.
John in Little Rock is losing his mind. John Taylor is one of the best bass players in the world, dude. They transform a generation of music fans globally. Spiro's reasons are annoying. Annoying. Paul, Duran Duran reinvented themselves and they came back with the Ordinary World song in '93, and then the album after that, Astronaut. Yeah, but that didn't register all that. But that's not the reason why they'd be. And John Proctor just hates new wave in general. Hates everything about new wave music. Duran Duran sucks. All right, man. This is why we did this segment.
Correct.
Everybody's all over the place here.
All right.
All right. Next.
How many we got left? My God.
We still have a few, actually.
They
My
nominate
God.
everybody, don't they?
They really do. They throw everybody in there. All right. This one to me, I'm going to guess that you and I feel differently about this because I think this is an era thing. To me, A Tribe Called Quest is an absolute slam dunk. Needs to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A Tribe Called Quest did to hip hop something, and I think that it needs to be defined this way. What they did, no one else could do.
I plead ignorance.
Okay.
And I have one song on my iPod. I couldn't tell you what
Is
it
it Can I Kick It? That was a
can't tell
very
you what it
popular
is.
song. It make a lot of sense. Award Tour was very popular. They had a couple of really big hits, but really what they did was they made hip hop music, like in a way that
Weren't they not around very long too?
they came back a couple of times. They ended up they didn't make a ton. They didn't make 10 albums, but like they made enough that I don't think that the longevity thing. And I would also argue that if the longevity thing is in debate, that there'd be a Calvin Johnson comparison to be made there, right? Like they were so good at what they did. It has not been matched. You know, Outkast was a little bit different. It wasn't quite the same in the live music comparison. Like Outkast is sort of held up as the gold standard of hip hop music over the years. They did something. The Roots, before they started doing the stupid Jimmy Fallon stuff, was fairly close to this. It's music. It's real music that they were making. It's something. They had a band. I mean, it was beautiful what a Tribe Called Quest did. I feel extraordinarily strongly about A Tribe Called Quest as a slam dunk.
on them.
All right, I'll accept that. I'll accept it. Next.
All right. I'll put in one of my milds. And I hate to say it because I love them. but I just don't think they're Rock and Roll Hall of Fame eligible, and that's the Eurythmics.
Interesting. I'm closer to strong than I am mild on the Eurythmics.
Annie Lennox may be one of my favorite.
She's
singers
unbelievable.
Of all time.
She's unbelievable. Why
Their
do you not?
Music is great
So
because they
didn't
weren't around very long. They're good. They're just not Hall of Fame. That's all.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't.
Would I Lie to You was one of my favorite songs of all
such a
time.
good tune. I don't feel as strongly about them as I do the others in my strong category, but I think that I'm closer to strong with Eurythmics than I am to mild. The other day, my wife will put on the 90s channel on DirecTV in the background a lot, like when we were having dinner or something like that. And it was like the first time I had heard Here Comes the Rain Again in a long time, and I was like, Jesus, what a song this is.
Why is that on the 90s channel?
Was that not 90s? Was that in the 80s?
80s.
Are you sure? I feel like that was early 90s. I was just like, my God, this is a song, man. Like, the elements of it.
Dave Stewart is phenomenal.
Dave Stewart's incredible. And, of course, Annie Lennox's voice is just breathtaking. And to me, that's where the talent, I think, outweighs, and I go back to the Calvin Johnson argument, it outweighs the lack of longevity, right? Because, like, just the ability to listen to it, you're like, thank God these people made music together. Thank God this was a thing that ever existed, because it was so unbelievably good
It was,
that
but
we were given a gift.
I can't put them in. They didn't do it long enough.
All right. I mean, I'll hear you. Nick Kelly, by the way, absolutely right on Tribe Called Quest. I don't think any hip-hop band can do what they did. And that's the way that I feel. I think they separated themselves in a way that no one can compare to. Like, it's just that unique about a Tribe Called Quest. And John admits that he's a tad biased on Duran Duran. He's been a fan since 1982. Saw him at Cap Center in 84. Unbelievable band.
He just thought he was going to get one of the models in the video.
Oh, God. Spiro's going war, man. Spiro is taking no prisoners
It's
this
your
morning.
turn.
It's my turn? I thought. Oh, you threw out Eurythmics, right? All right, who do we have left? Who do we still need to cover in this segment?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, yeah.
5.
All right, we'll deal with this.
We got 5 left.
It's funny because emotionally I'm closer to mild, but I think practically Pat Benatar is a strong. Pat Benatar, my God. I mean, just hit after hit after hit. I don't care that much about. It's a funny thing. I have no personal feeling towards Pat Benatar. Like, I have no story of going to see Pat Benatar or like a song that stands out to me, but like, look at how many super hits Pat Benatar had. I think Pat Benatar qualifies in every way, and Pat Benatar I have strong feelings about as a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer because of it.
Well,
if you hate Joan Jett, I'm not going to be surprised by the fact that you're not going to feel strongly about Pat Benatar.
My boss at Towson, who I love, Mike Gaffigan.
Love Gaff.
I told him I was coming on here and we were doing this, and he said to me, you better have Pat Benatar in your list. And I told him, she does not make my list.
What
Again,
is your
she's
argument
not
against
a Hall
Pat?
of Famer? That's
Pat,
all. She's good, okay? She's good. Great.
She's good, and she has hit after hit after hit after hit after hit.
She didn't have a hit after hit after hit after hit. She had like 4.
Love is a Battlefield.
Yeah.
Shadows of the Night.
Hit me with your best
Hit me
shot.
with your best shot. Heartbreaker. Come on, dude. Pat Benatar's got a friggin'
Look, I've only got 3 in here.
treasure
right? I
trove.
got Dolly Parton. You can't compare any
you're
of these
that.
people
You're
to.
the Baseball Hall of Famer, the voter that turns in one name on your list. You're that guy.
No, because actually this year and every other year, I would have put in Barry Bonds, Roger
All right,
Clemens.
all right.
I would have put him in.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And by
I've
the
got
way, can I
7.
tell you a guy
I've got
who
7
never
on my
gets-
list.
Tell you a guy that never gets mentioned for the Hall of Fame, and you go look up his numbers. If you want to put
Kenny
Pat
Lofton. Thank you. I've already made the
you
argument.
want to put Pat Benatar in there?
Yeah.
Then put Albert Bell in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
He was the best hitter in
He
baseball
was
for like
but
6
was
years.
it 5? That's what I was
He was
gonna,
the first guy
5
in, like,
years is what came
He
out.
was like the first guy in like 50 years to get
I
100
know.
extra base hits in a season.
I know.
You know how hard it is to get 100 extra base hits in a season?
He still didn't win MVP that year.
Correct.
Move on one.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh God,
It's almost my tidbit. It was a
because
Travis.
Albert Bell was just a jerk,
So
and
if
everybody
you put
hated him.
Albert
Right.
Bell in the Hall of Fame, I'll let you put Pat Benatar in the Hall of Fame.
Are you saying no, or are you saying mild?
I'm saying mild.
All right. So, but mild to me is you're not offended by this person getting
I'm
in.
not offended, but I wouldn't put him in myself.
All right, fair enough. Next.
Negative, no, because I couldn't name one song she ever did.
Kate Bush. I listened again, much like with Carly Simon. I listened
know
again.
She had like 20 hits in England.
It's unbelievable seeing how many hits she had. But like, I went back and re-listened to "Wuthering Heights."
Yeah,
it's a terrible song.
My
it's
dog
not just that
Cosmo
it's not-
sings better.
It's terrible. It's god awful. I'm like, how is this something? I don't get it at all with Kate. But
Yeah, it was
look, her other songs aren't nearly as bad. The "Running Up the Hill" is a good song, but no.
I actually was going to record Cosmo barking at me last night.
Compare it to Kate Bush.
And when she came up, I was going to say, this sounds better than Kate Bush.
Look,
But my
there are
wife told me
good
I
there are
couldn't do
good
that.
Kate Bush songs. I'm not debating that whatsoever. But Kate Bush is not a rock and roll Hall of Famer by any stretch of the imagination. I am completely in agreement with you. That is a no or negative for me as well. Let's go ahead and have it out about Devo, because I'm going to put them mild. I'm going
That's
to say
exactly where I'm putting them.
I'm going to say that I always. This is again a little bit before me, not much before me, but a little bit before. Like, I really understood music.
Oh, come on, it was way before.
It was a little bit. Settle down. I'm not. I'm basically 40 at this point. I know.
You weren't even born when they were around.
No, that's not true. I was born in '83. Come on.
When
Devo was still into the '80s. Come on.
Are
Come
we not
on.
Devo? Would that come out in like
Yeah,
1979?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think that I dismissed Devo entirely because Whip It is just so silly, right? That I think I always sort of treated Devo as just being a silly kind of one-off.
They are silly, their version of Satisfaction.
That's very silly, of course. I've gone back and listened to some more Devo, and they're not just a silly band. Like, they made some good music. And if they get in, I don't know that it's offensive necessarily. I'm closer to no than I am strong, but I wouldn't be offended by Devo as a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. I just don't think there's an argument for Devo in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think they had a huge hit that remains transcendent to this day, and that's why they still kind of matter in pop culture zeitgeist.
And they were the complete opposite of Duran Duran, because the Whip It video had no
that's
women.
right, correct. It was so stupid.
They're mild. Would I be offended? No, but I wouldn't put them.
Yeah, I've got nothing for Devo whatsoever.
Devo either.
I think, are we down to the
No,
list?
we got one left.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this is a. Oh no, there's two left.
Yes, there is two left.
There's two left.
Correct, and one of them to me is a lock.
Okay, which one to you is a lock?
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest is a lock to me as well. Judas Priest is an absolute lock. There's no debate about that whatsoever.
They were around forever. I mean,
Yep.
they were at the forefront of heavy metal. The
Defined
absolute forefront.
defined hard rock heavy metal music.
Right.
Absolutely defined. If you loved that genre of music, you loved Judas Priest. There was no debate to be had.
Correct.
If you cared about hard rock music, I'm not trying to call them Metallica, right? They're not that, but there's nobody that loves hard rock music that hates Metallica. That person
But
doesn't exist.
Judas
and I would
Priest beget Metallica.
right, correct.
I mean, they've been around since like 1969.
Rob Halford is an icon,
Correct.
is an absolute
Yes.
true rock star.
Yes.
Judas Priest, to me, there is no debate whatsoever about them.
Correct.
That brings us to the last one, and I admit that, like, I flirted with, because of the totality of what he's done, he should be in, but I'm actually going to go back to just saying I feel mildly about it. Beck is fine, and Beck's look, Odelay was an incredible record. Nobody's arguing with that, right? Like, it was a friggin' brilliant record. People like Beck's folk music. Like, he had this weird transition where he just became a folk artist for some time, and people like that a lot better than I do. I don't think his folk music is very good. I think it's forgettable, entirely forgettable, frankly. And I like folk music. I think his electronic music was probably some of the best stuff that he had done. I think it's hit or miss for me with Beck. Look, man, the man's won multiple Album of the Years at the Grammys. Like, if we were doing the baseball qualifications, he would probably hit all of those things, and you'd sit back and say, Jesus, man, I guess he's a Hall of Famer, right? Like, I guess he is. I just don't feel strongly about it because I think he's been propped up, and I don't think he in any way deserved the Album of the Year a couple years ago when he won it. Like, I listened to that record. It was not a good record to me. It was just, we've decided we like Beck, so we're going to honor Beck. I don't feel it in that way. But again, I loved Odelay. Of course, when you hear Where It's At or Loser, you're like, yeah, these were jams. These were huge smash hits that everybody sang along to. I like the next record with Sex Laws and Deborah. I thought those were great songs. But I don't feel strongly about him as a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Okay. But are you mild or no?
I'm mild, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I am.
If he gets in, am I going to be upset about it? No, actually, I'm not going to be upset if anybody gets in.
I don't know. I'd be pretty upset if Carla. Never mind. I'd be pretty. I actually would be pretty upset if Kate Bush got in. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? What?
And again, I will mention another year, not even on the nominee list, Jethro Tull.
That is weird. That is weird. I, honest to God, would have just assumed they were in. I would have just assumed that Jethro Tull was already
not
in.
even nominated.
All right, so my strongs: Rage Against the Machine, Dolly Parton, Eminem, Judas Priest, Lionel Richie, A Tribe Called Quest, Eurythmics, and
Well,
Pat
you just let
Benatar.
everybody in.
I am more of a big tent.
Yeah,
In general, I'm more of a big tent when it comes to the Hall of Fame. You had
My strong are Dolly
4.
Parton, Eminem, Carly Simon, and Judas
And
Priest.
you even got one of them wrong. You had 4, and you got one of them wrong, which is amazing.
That's a
What
solid C.
What
3 out of 4.
What a list. What a list. All right, I'm going to give those to Paul. We'll get them posted at glennclarkradio.com a little bit later on. Spiro Morekas,
This was fun.
I appreciate it. It's good to have you in. You got everybody fired up. That everybody's mad. Everybody's mad. I think it's more personal than it is for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think it really is what it is.
Absolutely. Music
I
is
think
much more
it's
personal
far more
than baseball.
personal. Like the Baseball Hall of Fame, you're sort of like, I think this guy should be in, but I don't care passionately about it, right?
Right.
Like you care passionately about who you think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of how much you like them.
I was deeply offended that you said that Tom Glavine was just an okay pitcher. He won 305 games with a 3.5 ERA.
I understand that, but we understand that wins alone are not what defines a pitcher.
Yeah, 5
His
21
numbers
seasons.
weren't as good as Mike Messina, and Spiro doesn't think all that highly of Mike Messina.
I didn't say that. I just said that if Mike Messina's in the Hall of Fame, then Kurt Schilling should be
By
in
the way,
Hall
it
of
was
Fame.
Mark that was supposed to call in this morning.
Really? And he
Yeah,
didn't?
well, I'll deal with him.
He
I'll
won
deal with him.
35 more games than Mike Messina, and he won 2 Cy Young
But
Awards.
winning games, he was on a better team.
He won 2 Cy Young Awards.
I understand that.
That's a Hall
Wait a
of
minute.
Fame.
Wait a minute. Look, Mike Messina. I have no problem with Mike Messina.
Mike
being
Messina's
in the
my
Hall of
favorite
Fame.
pitcher of all
by the way,
time.
in no world am I saying Tom Glavine shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I'm saying he's not Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux is a transcendent generational pitcher. Tom Glavine was a really good pitcher. There's a difference between those things. There's a difference between Randy Johnson and Tom Glavine. There's a difference between Roger Clemens, frankly, and Tom Glavine, right? Like Tom Glavine was a good, deserving Hall of Famer.
He's more of a self-tosser, yeah.
But his talent was not overwhelming in the way that some of these other guys were. I would never compare him to the greatest, even among Hall of Famers, we can separate and say these guys were the great. If you think Jim Thome was one of the greatest baseball players of all time, you're nuts. But he was a damn good power hitter, and obviously is a deserving Hall of Famer because of it.
Yes,
but
he is.
you cannot make an argument that Jim Thome is as good as the greatest baseball players of all time. That's insane. You can be in the Hall of Fame, and still we can all acknowledge you're not Willie Mays. You're not Hank Aaron.
I thought the argument that you were making was that he gets the accolades because of the team that he was on.
No, I think he gets treated as though he was one of the greatest pitchers of all time because we treat that Braves trio as being so unique and so special. The truth is, it was one transcendent, eternal pitcher and 2 guys who were really good, right? 2 guys that we acknowledge weren't as good as the other guy
I
was.
still put John Smoltz on a tier below Glavine.
I don't know. I mean,
he was good. No, he was very
the
good.
best closer in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
3 years.
I think John Smoltz and Tom Glavine are pretty similar in that way. I don't think that I would separate those too much at all. I don't think I would at all, frankly.
I love those Braves teams.
Of course, who didn't love those Braves teams? It was America's. I'm all in on it. But I think part of it
Fred
was
McGriff.
I think Fred McGriff, of course, should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I
100%.
100% agree about that. I think he should be in the Baseball
7
Hall
more
of
homers,
Fame.
he would be.
100%. He just got to that number. It's so dumb. It's so strikingly dumb.
It is dumb.
Big weekend at Towson.
Yes,
Get out.
Thursday, 5 o'clock, William and Mary, basketball. Friday, 6 o'clock, Hopkins, lacrosse. And Saturday, 2 o'clock, Elon. And that's the Autism Awareness Day, which is very near and dear to
Pat, no
Scary's
question.
heart.
No doubt. And did they want you to wear blue for that game? Is that the...
That's the Towson will wear blue.
Right, that's what. All right, very good. I love this from Ed. Never heard of Kate Bush, so I Googled her. Now I know why I'd never heard of her. Sadly, I can't get... Ed, we agree, my friend. We are in complete and total agreement about that. You're on Twitter at Spiro Towson PBP, correct?
Yeah.
You don't really. Yeah,
I don't
it's
really
not really
remember what
your
it
thing.
is.
Unless I tag Spiro in a tweet. He doesn't. At Spiro Towson PvP. Follow
you
him there. Love you, brother. Great to see you, man.
love
Thank
it.
you for coming in.
Okay.
Spiro Morekas joining us. We'll come back in. Cassidy's Top 5, Tidbit and Tuba to wrap up the day. It's Glenn Clark Radio. After being virtual in 2021, the CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament is headed to Charm City this February 22nd through 26th. The CIAA is an event that has become a celebration of family, culture, and accomplishments that uplift and strengthen the African American community. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA Men's and Women's Conference Tournament. Get your tickets now at CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets with Glenn Clark and Paul Valley every Wednesday morning at 11:30. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and even to offer a few winners. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio and watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Glory Days Grill's winter seasonal menu is back with comfort classics like their house-made meatloaf and short rib grilled cheese. It also features the center-cut sirloin with grilled shrimp, the char-grilled pork tenderloin, grilled meatloaf sandwich, smoky thigh wings with Alabama barbecue sauce, and a Brussels and bacon appetizer. All of these items pair well with Devil's Backbone 8-point IPA or their anniversary IPA brewed by Devil's Backbone. And try their seasonal cocktails, Blood Orange Bourbon Cider, Apple Ginger Mule, and Captain's Hot Cider. Find out more and get your order in today at glorydaysgrill.com. Great food, good sports.
It's another cold winter here in Baltimore, but this time there's no hot stove to warm you up. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and while there may be no activity in the world of baseball, I'll still be here every week with my co-host Zach Goodman to give you all the latest in the CBA negotiations as teams look to get back on the field in time for spring training. You can watch us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or facebook.com/PressBoxSports and listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon for the latest in baseball coverage right here on the Bat Around.
We can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can watch GCR live. It's at facebook.com/PressBoxSports and try to guess whether these guys are wearing any pants.
All right, some great responses. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did that. Spiro Morekas coming in this morning. John, Iron Maiden and Deep Purple should be in too. Yeah, in that genre, I do agree the significance of that. I completely agree that they should be in. Ed agrees with me that number one on the list. I can't believe how Spiro responded to Rage Against the Machine. Rage Against the Machine is such a slam dunk to me on that list. Like, they are I can't even imagine what the debate would be about, and he said no to Rage Against the Machine. That's unreal to me. Like, why have a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if Rage Against the Machine isn't in it?
I still can't believe Cassidy doesn't know who they are.
She does. She just doesn't know that hang on a second. No, she does. This is exactly what it is. This is a let me do this. I'll give you a Killing in the Name of, for example. You 100% know this song. Bum 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 bum
Oh, no.
bum 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 bum. Oh, I just want to go slam into something right now.
She doesn't
Oh,
know.
this is so
This
so
is
depressing.
my dad's music, but like I don't.
I own that. I don't care. I'm over that. I don't give a crap anymore. Oh God, there's.
Nope.
That's what it is. She hasn't seen There's Something About Mary, so just keep that in mind whenever we use Cassidy as our barometer for something. She hasn't seen the film There's Something About Mary. All right, today's show is also brought to you by, you know what? If you missed it last night, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley had a great conversation. I just realized I gave you my list, but I need it back, Paul. I'm sorry, because I got to keep track of the reads that I've done today. I'll give it back to you at the end of the show. Great conversation with the Otter, Greg Olson, last night on Facebook Live. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, and click on the videos tab if you missed it, or go to PressBoxOnline.com/video and see it there. And speaking of Towson, as we just had Spiro in studio, On Wednesday, Stan's going to catch up with Towson basketball coach Pat Scarry ahead of the autism awareness game this weekend. And you can see that at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. It's time for Cassidy's Top 5. And maybe you should alter it now that I know what the subject was. Maybe you need to alter the list after what we just did for the last hour. Cassidy's Top 5 brought to you this week by the best of issue of Press Box, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. This is the final week, last chance for you to get your hands on this one before it's gone forever. Justin Tucker, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, on the cover. Get it right now, and then we will have a new issue for you on newsstands next week. Celebrating a sports anniversary, and we'll leave it at that. Cassidy's Top 5. What is your topic for this week's Top 5, Cassidy?
Okay, so my top 5 are normal things that, like, occur every day that, like, are people don't have issues with, but, like, I physically can't stand. Like I have to altercate my life around it.
We learned yesterday, for example, that Jeremy Kahn will literally vomit if he hears the sound of styrofoam rubbing against each other. He said that he would, or cardboard was the other one,
Cardboard
right?
tearing.
Cardboard tearing. He has to walk out of the room if there is a situation like that. Is this that type of?
Yeah, it's like
okay.
that.
All right. Very good.
So my number 5 is I have to wear gloves if I take out the trash. I, like, physically can't touch trash. I hate food. I hate, like, it built up. Like, it grosses me
when
out.
you say take out the trash, you mean like taking a bag of trash out to the trash can, or taking
like that, or even just like, clearing off dishes, like, after dinner.
like rubber? You got to do rubber gloves to do dishes.
Like, yeah.
It's a little over the top. It's a little over the top. It's a bit. Look, in general, we'd probably all be smart to do it because, it is kind of gross and germs that we don't like. Admittedly, I'll take the trash down. We live on a farm, so it's a long haul for me to take the trash down to the street corner. So I'll take it down, and I won't immediately think I need to go in and wash my hands, right? Like, I won't think that because I just touched the outside of a trash can, right? I don't think about that. So I'd probably be smart to wear gloves. It'd probably be smarter, but I definitely don't feel the need to do that in those circumstances. It comes off a bit germophobic beyond reason, beyond what's reasonable.
And, like, if my dad or my parents say, hey, clean off the table, they have to, like, clear their food off the plates, and then I'll wash it. Like, I can't do, like, that's why I can't do trash. Is like,
interesting. This is I'm trying to think of other ways that this might, like, in other circumstances. Do you, let's say pre-pandemic, you were young, too young then. Obviously, you wouldn't drink alcohol. You're not old enough. I'm trying to think of, in a pre-pandemic world, let's say that you and your friends were out drinking soda, right? And somebody was like, hey, you should really try this soda. It's delicious. Would you have been willing to take a sip from the same soda can that your friend had taken a sip from?
No. That's another thing. I can only drink after my mom and my sister. The only two people I can really, truly drink after.
It's very interesting.
I don't drink after people.
It's very interesting.
And straws.
I get that.
Again, the pandemic has changed a lot of this, but I'm saying pre-pandemic, if, like, we were out somewhere, again, you're not old enough, but we would drink beer, right? And somebody would say to me, this is a delicious beer. You should try this beer. If it was a friend of mine, I'd just be like, all right, sure, the hell with it.
It depends
right?
on the friend.
Like,
it depends. Like, I'll drink after my roommate. But, like, there's certain people that, like, I refuse. Like, I it's a thing. Like, I don't know. But
I get
for the
that.
longest time,
I'm not suggesting I was out drinking strangers' beer. Like, I'm not suggesting I would do that. And by the way, that happens a lot in radio where you're out somewhere and people are like, dude, come, you should try this. It's still, I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that, I don't know you.
No, like, when I went to the movies with my family, I could only drink after my sister. So, like, I'd only be able to share a drink with her, or, like, I'd have to double the straws.
The giant 68, of course. Yeah, we wouldn't know because we invited you to the movies and you gave us a middle finger, Papa Cass. That's what happened. You said, I would rather die than hang out with you guys. That's exactly the way that played out.
That's how I remember.
All right, number 4.
Kind of goes with trash, but I don't use them and I can't touch them. Like, it grosses me out. I don't like napkins.
What?
No, and it's I, like, can't do napkins.
What do you mean you can't?
What about paper towels?
Paper towels are fine to an extent.
What is the difference?
But, like, I don't use them. Does that make sense? Like, I don't, like, I'll wash my hands.
How can you
wipe
both
your hands
be
on your pants?
Wait, how can you both be a germaphobe and not use napkins? These things don't seem to correlate.
Think about it. Like, okay, say you're sitting at dinner and you have, like, your I don't know, like let's say you have like someone sitting next to you and they're coughing into their napkin. I will actually yak. I can't do people
Would
like
you rather
wiping.
them cough not into their napkin?
No, I'd rather them get up and cough somewhere else because like I don't know. It's like
I do that.
I can't do the whole like if you're eating and like just food and like stuff that's just being like mushed in your mouth.
Do you eat crabs?
I do. I love crabs.
Okay, so how do you? Because that's basically an ollie oxen free situation, right? Like, there's crabs just being spit out all over the place, and like people are biting shells and spitting them out. Like, the process of eating crabs is, by these standards, very gross. Like, there's just all sorts of.
You've heard of like selective hearing.
Yeah.
I have like selective germophobia.
Okay.
So like, I'm not like the ideal germaphobe where everything bothers me, but
You're
there
not
are
Howie Mandel, like where
yeah.
people can't touch you.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I'm very like it's certain things. Like
But
there's just certain
napkins
things.
is so weird.
And
Do
it's
you
been
put
a-
a napkin in your lap when you eat?
The ones that like if you go to Olive Garden, you know, like they're not like paper ones.
That's your go-to.
Yeah,
she
'cause
goes.
they're
She
like
the first.
They're linens.
You got a
They're
nice
called
fa-
napkins,
If you have a nice fancy dinner at the Olive Garden.
I'm just saying, like I'll put that on my lap, yeah, but like I don't do napkins.
But at home,
right?
you wouldn't put a
And, like,
paper
my
napkin in your lap
No,
for
my
dinner.
family and like I swear it, like my family plays jokes on me by putting napkins like on plates for me. And
They
I won't
should.
touch them. Like I won't touch the plate.
That's
my
weird.
stepmom is terrified of straws and rubber bands. So
what?
She's terrified of them.
What is to be terrified of?
She gave me my grandmother would give us cards for Christmas, and so she had a stack of cards I had to give to me and my two sisters, and they were wrapped in a rubber band. So she took them out of my stepmother took them off the rubber band and immediately handed me the rubber band. She goes, "I can't hold this. Get this away from me."
This is a weird bit, man. This is really weird.
And straws freak. We're convinced that when she was a child, her brothers tormented her with rubber bands. And
All right, I mean, yeah, there might be some. If there's trauma involved, then I'm gonna end up feeling bad
she
about
doesn't
what I'm
remember
saying.
any of it, but we
trauma from it.
It's
I
a
also,
napkin,
I think
Cassie.
the grossest thing in the world.
So hang on a second. What do you do, for example? What do you do if you're sitting down? You have a nice like a barbecue chicken sandwich, right? And a little bit of the barbecue sauce squirts out onto the table. Do you just leave it there for someone else to deal with?
Yeah.
Oh my
no.
God.
But listen, so there's also
Clean up your mess, Cassie.
There's also like the little wet. Like,
How can you be a germaphobe but okay with just leaving
wet wipes? Wait, wet naps?
wipes,
But do you
yeah.
just keep wet wipes with you at all times?
I have some in my bag sometimes, yeah. And like the thing is too is like I'd way rather do that, and like restaurants always carry them, so like sometimes I'll ask them for those and like instead of like napkins. But like the thing is,
We
like,
have no wet wipes in my restaurant.
I
Yeah,
can't.
I mean,
like,
I don't think fancy establishments
more
like the Olive Garden have
it's
wet
more
wipes
like an
available.
at-home thing. Like if think about like taking just a stack of dishes and everyone's just nasty napkins are crumpled up and put right on top of it. And you're just sitting there like, yeah, I'm going to touch these. And like, no, I'm not even going near them. I'm not even looking at
So
them. I'm
you-
telling you right now, if I looked at a pile of napkins, I would like want to throw up.
Like literally about got me to say the F word.
No, it has to be dirty. I don't just like get scared of like napkins.
Well, of course, everybody hates dirty napkins.
Wait a second. Who leaves a pile of dirty napkins sitting around somewhere for you to?
I'm just saying in like a sense of like I can't like every single growing up like since I was little, since I can remember, I literally like if my parents told me to clean the dishes, every single time I would say okay, but they would know what they'd have to do. Like they knew.
But I don't understand what that has to do with napkins.
Because it's the fact that it's in a napkin. Like I can't do the food that's on the plate or the food that's in the napkin. I can't touch it. So when I wash dishes, I'm like trying
But you'll
not
leave
to
it on
touch
the. This is the part that drives me nuts. You'll leave it. You go out the place that does like ribs. You sit around, you eat ribs. There's barbecue sauce everywhere. There's barbecue sauce on the. You'll just leave it on the table.
I mean, no, like I'm not gonna like obviously like I'll wipe it, but like it's not like it's hard to explain. Like getting like a paper towel and wiping water or wiping ketchup is fine, right? But when it's wiping your face or it's like food and it's all this stuff built up.
Wait, you have a problem with wiping your face?
Yes, I do.
You got some breakfast on
Yeah.
your cheek. Right?
I think it's gross. I don't like it and I can't do it.
I think the
all right, we
grossest thing
gotta-
in the world is blowing your nose in public.
Yes.
You have to.
Oh.
You should excuse yourself to a restroom.
I
think it's
I
the grossest
agree.
thing in the
I
I
world.
don't inherently disagree with that. I think sometimes. So how do you feel about sneezing?
Sneezing
that
just
sneaks-
comes
that
on.
sneaks
That's-
up on you. Right,
Right.
correct.
But if you have to go blow your nose and people
I-
just stand there in front of a group of people, and no, go excuse
The
yourself to another
handkerchief,
room or the
the
bathroom.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't.
Handkerchief's gross.
I don't wholly disagree with that. I don't. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I don't wholly disagree.
No,
like
that
if
is
you
the end of the
know.
world. That is disgusting. It's the end of my world.
And if I got a cough, I'm going to do this number. I'm going to pick up my shirt. I'm going to cough into my shirt.
And that's fine. That's your shirt. It's touching you.
Right,
But
that's
I
the
don't want to
point.
touch any napkin that has
Well,
any other
I
people's
agree that
stuff
if
in
you're
it.
coughing into like something, cough into your shirt.
I watched a guy. I was at Looney's like a year and a half ago in Bel Air, and there was a guy. He was walking out. He was an old guy, and he had his mask on, and he let out this rip roaring sneeze right into his mask. And I get that that's what they're for, and then he just kept walking.
Yeah, that to me, I can't
he
do
did
that.
nothing to like wipe his face. He
If
just
I
kept going.
have to sneeze, I'm gonna have to pull my mask down and sneeze. I'll sneeze into my arm. Like I'll do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to share it with everybody else.
It was, it was a wet sneeze. It was just.
Ugh. All right. I don't even want those words. Just kind of make my blood curl. All right, number 3. We got to pick up the pace.
Okay, so then 3 and 2 are they're kind of go
Okay.
hand in hand. So I'll
All
just
right.
say both of them. So I like grew up around lakes and like rivers a lot, and I swam in them. I camp a lot, but when I was younger, I'd have to wear shoes in the water because I have a texture thing.
My mom called them swamp shoes.
I can't.
Do you feel that way in the ocean?
No, because it's sand. I
'Kay.
can't do like the mushy. Like,
Yeah, I get it.
muddy
It
water.
is
Like,
gross.
when
I
your
don't
foot
disagree with
gets
that.
Stuck in it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Like I'll actually I would rather sit and not go in the water than like touch that.
I'm not
going
gonna say it wouldn't keep me out of the water.
It would keep me out.
But I agree with you that it's a gross feeling.
So I do wear. I have water shoes, and like, does it look attractive? Absolutely.
I think I'm a man who might be coming around on water shoes as a whole, right?
love water
But, like I think I just might be coming around in that way. Like I don't really need to step on anything.
We
that
used to
creeps
wear
me
them when
out.
we were kids. They hurt my feet. They were like dug into your heels.
You know what I never was before? I realize now the rest of my life I'm a rash guard guy too. I won't like it. I know I'm depriving the world of getting to see my incredible bod, right? Like so I'm sorry, but like I'm a rash guard guy now moving forward because I'm just not dealing with like the, the nipple with the cold water. I'm over it.
Little
I'm
Nard dog in you.
I'm over it. I'm over it. Like I don't need it anymore in my life. I'm too old for that. I got it. When I was down at the beach last summer, we went out the first day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and wander the Sun Stations and pick myself up a rash guard. Like that's gonna be. I'm a rash guard man moving forward. That's the way it's gonna be. Plus, my wife likes to go out like at 7 a.m. to the beach, and like.
No.
It's too much, right? It's just too much. And then, like, because we got kids, they're like, we want to get in the water. I'm like, it's too cold, man. Got to get a rash guard.
If anything, when I do, if I don't have shoes, I'll just like piggyback it, like on someone's back. Like I won't touch it. Like I won't.
You're a little bit fortunate that you're female in that
Right,
way.
so
Not exactly
easy.
something that, like,
Just jump
You're
on
telling me
somebody's
you
back.
wouldn't piggyback Paul?
Well, not in the water. Like, that's what. Hey, what's rule number 1 around here? We don't kink shame, all right?
Okay. There's no kink shaming.
What was number 2?
So 2 goes with it. I can't this goes with the ocean. There's like seaweed or algae. Like when I went to Florida, one beach had the most seaweed and algae like just across the top. They're like, I won't go in it. Like I.
No,
won't
I don't think
let
that's
it touch
weird.
me.
I think if you see
Grosses
gross,
me
if you see
out.
gross looking water, I'm not getting in that.
Wait, but it's not gross
Stop
water. It just has a lot of
No,
algae.
it looks gross.
Yeah.
It just looks gross.
But like all my friends
Strong
were like,
pass.
oh, who cares? So they went in, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess that's normal. Not
Nope.
for me, though.
Nope.
I'm with you
No,
on that
strong
one.
pass on
Okay.
anything that looks
Now
gross.
the first one is the one that I get made fun of the most. So
I can't believe if it's weirder than napkins, I'm gonna be blown away by it.
I don't know. So pretty much, I have a separate shower in my basement at my house, and it has all tile flooring, and I shower in that. Even though me and my sister have a bathroom like upstairs in between
because
our
it's
rooms.
tile flooring.
Now listen, I refuse to put my feet on a bathtub that's like the you know the
okay.
bathtub shower, whatever the
Yeah.
texture is. I don't know
Because you're afraid you're gonna slip.
No, like I actually like get grossed out having my feet touch it.
Okay, now that part's weird. That part is weird.
Okay, yeah, it's weird. That's why it's like
I've definitely started to reach the age where I fear about slipping. Like
No.
it happens to me sometimes where like I'll start to feel, I'll be like, oh my god, I'm starting to slip on this.
No. Like I take showers in the tile bathroom, and here's the funny thing: if I go over to my friend's house, you pack a bag, right? Sleep over. Well, I have shower flip flops that I bring because I refuse to go in someone's shower and shower without flip flops. I shower in my apartment shower with flip flops.
Okay, I did
it's
that.
my apartment, and I still shower because I can't touch it.
I did that in college for sure, right? Because
Do it at the gym, yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny? I'm about to join a new gym, so I'll report back to you. Once I feel out what the showers are like at the gym, right? Like I can get to a place where I'm like, I'm pretty comfortable here. Like I think this is fine.
Never.
I have been into gyms though, however, where I've been like, nope, that's gonna be a big no
The
for me.
grossest when I see guys.
Oh
at
my
the
god,
gym.
there's a shower outside in the stadium at Stevenson. the weight room there, right? In the stadium.
Yeah.
There's a men's bathroom right outside that.
Oh, yeah.
The shower in that is the grossest floor area I hate everything about it. So they let me work out there, and I'm very appreciative of that. But if I got to do a game or something, I got to shower there afterwards, and it's just an awful experience.
It just put chills up my spine even touching it. And I think the big thing too is I'm just gonna put myself out here because this is definitely the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. But I will go to the ends of the earth to not put my feet on a bathroom like that. I have showered in socks when I went to a friend's house.
Okay, now that's
you can make fun of me all you want.
What is
did
that?
Because
that just
I'm not kidding. I physically can't touch it. Put Walmart bags on your feet. I don't know. Do it. Anything. I can't.
Specifically Walmart bags. Can it be Target bags?
It can be any kind of bag. Just tie it. I'm
all right.
so serious.
All right, you are a weirdo. We have learned that about you this morning. You are a weirdo.
I'm a
Cassidy.
germaphobe. I can't touch things.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. You know how much I love Glory Days Grill. The seasonal menu is available still at Glory Days Grill with all those comfort food classics you love. The short rib grilled cheese. Oh, my God. I love the smoky thigh wings, and they got the Alabama barbecue sauce for them. They also have the house-made meatloaf, the grilled meatloaf sandwich. It's all available. Get your order in right now, glorydaysgrill.com.
All right, in the Super Bowl this Sunday, two of the brightest young stars at the running back position will square off as Cam Akers and Joe Mixon tote the rock for their respective teams.
They're good, but brightest young stars?
I mean, Cam Akers
they're
is
good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
It's just weird.
All right. I disagree.
If I
Rage Against the Machine. Never mind.
If either player cracks 100 yards rushing, they will be the first players to do so this postseason. Through 3 rounds of the NFL playoffs, no player, running back or otherwise, has rushed for 100 yards in a single game. The highest total was Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers in the wild card round versus the Cowboys when he rushed for 96 yards, and even then, he did it on 27 carries, averaging just 3.6 yards per carry. According to ESPN Stats and Info, in NFL history, 5 players have averaged over 93 rushing yards per game from the running back position. Who are they?
In playoff history?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a minimum game type of thing?
No.
Is Timmy Anderson on the list because of it then?
No. I mean, this is just what ESPN put. There might be a minimum game type of thing.
I was going to say. All right, so I'll try Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith is 5th on the list, 93.5. I'm sorry, 93.3.
How many did you say there were?
5. So he's 5th.
Thurman Thomas.
No.
Dorsett. Tony Dorsett.
No.
How about Jerome Bettis?
Nope.
Yikes. Walter Payton.
Nope.
Not going well. How about Edgerrin James?
No.
Marshall Faulk?
No.
Terrell Davis.
Davis is number 1.
Earlier. Yeah,
142.5 yards per game.
Yeah, that one's
crazy.
On me. Yeah, I screwed that up. John Riggins.
John Riggins is 2nd, 110.7. You have 2 left.
Franco Harris.
No.
How about Marcus Allen?
No.
How about Marshawn Lynch?
No.
How about Roger Craig?
No.
Larry Zonka?
Mm-mm.
Oh, God. Curtis Martin?
Mm-mm.
This
may be the worst you've ever done.
I was doing all right for a little bit.
You were.
I had a real groove where I got 2 of them in a row, and then I couldn't get another one. Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson, 103.4. You have 1 left.
The funny thing is these are all Hall of Famers. I could have just named Hall of Fame running backs and I would have gotten them. Is the 5th one a Hall of Famer too?
Not yet, but he probably will be.
Not yet, but he probably will be. Not yet. Frank Gore?
No. He probably will be whenever 5 years after he stops playing, is what I'm saying.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, 104.6.
I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer or not, but I hear what you're trying to say. He's
he's
very
very
good.
good.
There's no debate about that. All right. Tidbit was also brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel. Looking for somewhere to watch the big game? The FanDuel Sportsbook is the place to be. It's just such an awesome atmosphere with the live betting. It's crazy. I had such a good time in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino Hotel. Email events at sportssocialmd.com to get your spot. Totally Tubular brought to you by the CIAA tournament. It's going to be an amazing event right here in Baltimore. It really is going to overtake the entire city. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA men's and women's conference tournaments from February 22nd through 26th. Get your tickets now, CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org. Here's what's coming up. Totally Tubular-wise, not a lot. Big Ten Hoops tonight, Wisconsin, Michigan State at 7, and Indiana Northwestern at 9 on Big Ten Network. Illinois, Purdue, that's a big one at 9 on ESPN. The rest of the college hoops, find at glennclarkradio.com. NBC Sports Washington, Blue Jackets Capitals at 7. TNT, Celtics Nets, 7:30, Bucks Lakers 10. Olympics on NBC, USA, and CNBC tonight. If you're up early tomorrow morning, the first USA men's curling match of the tournament is tomorrow morning, 7:05. I believe it's airing on Peacock. And Man U, Burnley at 3 on USA. The Sci-Fi Network for WWE NXT at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
Super Bowl greatest commercials, all-time classics at 8 o'clock on CBS.
Sure.
Your favorite, Channing Tatum, is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight.
I do like Channing Tatum. You're not going to give. Although I have zero interest in the Sandra Bullock movie. That just looks awful to me.
Yeah. That's really it. I mean, Abbott Elementary. You love Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, people don't like to put things on up against the Olympics because normally the Olympics are a ratings juggernaut. I don't think this one's been the ratings juggernaut that other Olympics have been. I think people could have just gone ahead and aired their shows right now. I would have preferred that. Gemstones was good on Sunday night.
It was so good.
Really
we just
good.
watched it last night. It was so
really good. Watch Tinder Swindler. Watch that. It's good. It's good. It's worth the viewing. All right, Cassidy, social media.
Instagram, Cassidy_Elizabeth22, and then Twitter, CassidyButler5.
Very good. Thanks today to Spiro Morekas. Thanks also to Patrick Stevens and to Doc Holliday. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Archives.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. Trey Mancini is going to join us tomorrow. Trey's doing something really incredible for healthcare workers right now, and I want to give it a little publicity. And we'll talk to Trey about baseball. We'll talk to him about the, fences moving, all that. But there's something really incredible that Trey's doing, so he's going to join us on the show tomorrow. Also, Chickaconquo, Maryland tight end, had a big week at the East-West Shrine game. We'll catch up with him. I believe Drew might be stopping by, and, of course, Simply the Bets tomorrow as well. So lots to do on the program. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, the CIAA Tournament, Grade 8's Memorabilia, Live Casino and Hotel, Underdog Fantasy Football, Blue Line Canine, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Paul. Follow him on Twitter, at Paul Valley III. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go USA Curling. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks.